Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto has Minato and Kushina sealed in him part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Minato stepped in front of Kushina and glared at the man behind the mask. Something about him seemed so familiar, but at the same time, he was nothing like Minato had ever seen. Fourth Hokage Minato, the man began. Step away from the Jinchuriki. If you don't, this child's life will end in 1 minute. How did he get past the barrier? Minato wondered. Who is this guy? Just then, Kushina cried out in pain as her seal, which was practically open, stretched a little further open and the Ninetales began to force its way out. Kushina! Minato thought, turning back to her. The seal is still. Get away from the Jinchuriki. The man ordered, drawing a kunai and holding it to Minato's son's throat. Don't you care about your son? Please wait. Minato begged, holding his hand up. Please calm down. Speak for yourself. The man sneered. I'm as calm as can be. The man suddenly hurled Naruto skyward and Kushina screamed. The man leapt at Naruto, thrusting his kunai, but Minato teleported to Naruto, then the ceiling, rescuing him from the man. I must hand it to the yellow flash, the man commended. But how about this? He made the seal of confrontation as he landed, and several explosive tags on Naruto's blanket caught fire, about to explode. Kushina screamed again, but Minato had already reacted. He teleported to his and Kushina's house, throwing the blanket off just before leaping out through the front door seconds before the tags exploded, destroying the house. Too close, Minato sighed, then winced and looked down at his ankle to see a chunk of wood sticking out of it. He pulled it out and threw it into the air, being gone by the time it fell. He appeared in his second house, setting Naruto in his crib, then teleporting to Kushina just in time to pick her up and teleport out of the way of the Ninetales' hand, landing in a treetop a ways away. I must say, the man commented. You're as quick as your nickname. But you are too late. Minato, Kushina struggled to say, barely able to make a sound. Is Naruto safe? He's fine, Minato smiled. Don't worry. Good, Kushina smiled. Minato, you must stop that man and the Ninetales. He's heading for the Leaf Village. Minato looked back at the man, then teleported to Naruto and set Kushina beside their son. Why? Kushina asked weakly. Never mind that, Minato ordered. Just stay with Naruto for now. Kushina held Naruto close to herself and Minato retrieved his cloak from the closet and pulled it on. I'll be right back, Minato promised before teleporting away. He landed on top of his face on the Hokage monument, but saw that the Ninetales had already laid waste to a massive section of the village. Minato silently vowed to protect everything he could just as the Ninetales turned toward him. So you notice me, huh? Minato said aloud as the Ninetales began to form a tailed beast ball. You won't get your own way. He made several hand seals and held out his signature kunai as the tailed beast ball shot toward him. Then, it hit the barrier he had formed and was transported a couple miles away where it exploded safely. Just then, a hand began to rise behind Minato. He spun, swinging his kunai, but instead of killing the man that had control over the Ninetales, his kunai and hand passed harmlessly through the man's head. Then, the man caught his arm after it had exited his body. You face me now, the man stated. It's over. Suddenly, Minato's body began to swirl. He felt himself being dragged somewhere but knew he didn't want to go. At the last second, he teleported away, narrowly escaping. He reappeared at his destroyed house and began to push himself up, still disoriented from the man's jutsu. My attack passed right through him, but then he materialized to pull me in, Minato thought. What is that jutsu? Just then, the man appeared in front of him and said, I won't let you get away. Is that the teleportation jutsu? Minato thought. Is that how he took Kushina and got away so quickly? A ninja who evaded the third Hokage's handpicked ANBU, slipped past the top secret barrier, and knew about the Ninetales seal being weak during childbirth. Plus he was able to release the Ninetales, tame it, and slip in and out of Konoha's barrier without being detected. There is only one person who could do that. Are you Madara Uchiha? Minato questioned as the man lowered the hood on his black robes. No, that's impossible. He's dead. I wonder about that, the man commented vaguely. At this point, it doesn't matter who you are, Minato decided. Why are you targeting the hidden leaf? I could say that I did it on a whim, or that I planned it, the man stated cryptically. Or that it's war, or that it's for peace. He raised his left arm and 2 chains fell out of the sleeve. Minato readied himself and the man attached the chains to his wrists with the shackles on one end. Now that I've freed the Ninetales, your people have no hope left, the man stated as both charged. Minato moved in to stab the man, but this time, his entire body passed through the man before the chain, which Minato could now see was only one attached to both so that it was behind the man, wrapped around Minato's chest, and bound stopped him. He teleported to one of his kunai as the man turned, then turned toward the man. I can't hurt him, Minato thought. But he has to materialize to hurt me. That is when I must strike. Minato turned and charged at the man, throwing his kunai at the man's head with one hand and forming a Rasengan in the other. The man reached for his throat as the kunai passed through his head, and the moment it was clear, Minato teleported to it, barely dodging the man's hand. He caught his kunai, then slammed the Rasengan into the man's back, slamming him into the ground and placing a seal for his teleportation jutsu where the Rasengan hit. The man jumped out of the crater the blast made and gripped his shoulder, breathing heavily as his arm began to melt into a goo and fall out of his sleeve. Impressive, the man stated. I can see now why. Minato teleported to the man and placed a contract seal on his chest. A contract seal? The man raged, more surprised than angry, but only just. He intends to separate the Nine Tails from me? With this, the Nine Tails no longer belongs to you, Minato stated as the man's control over the Nine Tails broke. The man jumped away, landing on a piece of rock and looked down at Minato. I must hand it to you, the man stated. You managed to injure me and free the Nine Tails. However, the Nine Tails will be mine eventually. With that, the man teleported away, his body swirling around the single eye hole and disappearing as it did. Just before he was gone, he spoke one last time. I am going to rule the world, and there are many ways to go about doing that, the man commented, then was gone. Minato teleported back to his monument, and saw the Nine Tails preparing another tailed beast ball, this one aimed at the shinobi trying to fight it. Minato thought fast and began making hand seals, summoning jutsu. He shouted before teleporting to the seal on top of the giant toad that appeared above the Nine Tails. The toad fell fast and crashed down on top of the Nine Tails, pinning it to the ground but failing to stop it from preparing the attack. Hold it down for me, Minato commanded. That won't be easy, even for me, the toad replied but did as instructed. Minato then teleported himself, the Nine Tails, and the tailed beast ball to his second house, grabbing Kushina and Naruto before teleporting outside as the Nine Tails fired its attack away from the village. I need to put up a barrier immediately, Minato stated but winced. My chakra is. I can still do it, Minato, Kushina stated. Then, she bit her lip against the pain of using her chakra as chakra chains shot out of her back and into the ground. Then, they shot out of the ground around the Nine Tails and bound it in place. Kushina bent forward, coughing up blood, and Naruto began to cry loudly. Did I wake you up? Kushina asked, smiling. I'm sorry, Naruto. Kushina, Minato began but couldn't form any words. I'm going to draw the Nine Tails with me to my death, Kushina stated. I can still save all of you and we can delay the revival of the Nine Tails. Kushina, Minato tried again, this time managing to find the words. It's because of you that I'm the fourth Hokage. You made me a man. And you made me the father of our baby, and yet, Minato, don't give me that look, Kushina smiled. I'm happy to have had the chance to be with you. And today is our son's birthday. If I were to imagine myself alive, and our future together, the three of us, as a family, I can't imagine us having anything but a happy life. If I had just one regret, it's that I won't see Naruto grow up. I wish I could have seen that. You don't need to die with the Nine Tails, Minato said, deciding on how to end the Nine Tails attack. Save what chakra you have left for the next time you see Naruto. I'll seal all of your remaining chakra inside of Naruto. It will be part of an 8-sign seal. Then I'll take the Nine Tails with me, with the only sealing jutsu I can do since I'm not a Jinchuriki. The Reaper Death Seal. But the person that uses that seal, Kushina trailed off, knowing that he already knew the cost of the jutsu. One more thing, Minato began. I can only seal half of the Nine Tails. It's impossible to seal something that powerful fully. It's also strategically unwise. If you seal the entire thing and you die, there will be no Jinchuriki for him, and it will upset the balance of power between the tailed beasts. I will seal half of it with me forever. As for the other half, I will seal it inside Naruto with the 8-sign seal. I know what you want to say. But remember what Master Jiraiya said about the world upheaval and the calamities that would follow. I learned 2 things today. First is that the man in the mask that attacked you today is a harbinger of disaster, and the one who will stop him is this child. This infant whose godfather is Master Jiraiya. He will open up the future as a Jinchuriki. I don't know why, but I'm convinced of this. Just as Minato placed Naruto down to begin the jutsu, the third Hokage arrived and stopped him. Don't, the third Hokage commanded. You intend to seal half of the Nine Tails inside the boy and drag the other half along with you while also sealing Kushina's remaining chakra inside Naruto's seal. Do you not? How did you? Minato began but stopped and pulled away. I have to do this. No you don't, the third Hokage stated. Allow me to use the jutsu while you command the Shinigami. I will seal the Nine Tails inside Naruto and myself. I will also have the Shinigami save Kushina using the lives it has collected over the years. You will be able to raise your son together with your wife and be a family, as you should be. Minato began wanting to refuse but decided that, for once, the selfish option was truly the best option. All right. And thank you? The third Hokage nodded and began making hand seals before clapping. Reaper Death Seal. The third Hokage shouted as the spectral entity that was the Shinigami formed behind him, visible only to himself and Minato, and the latter only because the third Hokage wished it so. Stop! Kushina shouted. Please! He's our son. Please don't put such a terrible burden on him. He can handle it, Minato assured her. He'll have the both of us. And he is your son, after all. The Shinigami suddenly thrust its left hand down through the third Hokage's chest, also putting it through the chakra silhouette of him that had formed before the Shinigami with its arms out to its sides. The arm extended from the third Hokage's chest, tearing a round hole in his shirt, then stopping. Minato willed it to retrieve the Ninetales chakra and it shot forward, latching on instantly at the demon fox's left foreleg. Seal! The third Hokage shouted. The Ninetales roared in pain as half of its chakra was pulled out of it and toward the third Hokage, being sealed inside him and leaving an 8-sign seal in the hole where the Shinigami's arm had been. Alright, Minato stated, placing his hand on the ground and summoning an altar. Next is Naruto. He set his son on the altar and returned to the third Hokage, who nodded to him to show he was ready. Just then, some of the chains, which now hung loosely off of the now smaller Ninetales, fell to the ground as Kushina began to cough up more blood. The Ninetales roared in rage and swung at Naruto, meaning to kill him with one of his claws, but just before he could, the third Hokage jumped in the way and the claw pierced his stomach, stopping just short of Naruto when it embedded itself in the adamantine staff the third had used to get the Ninetales out of the hidden leaf. Damn, the third Hokage groaned but smiled. That was close. He looked over at Kushina and Minato, both of which he had tripped to keep from doing the exact same thing. Sorry about that, the third Hokage smiled. Couldn't have you making this plan pointless. Now, shall we finish? I'm almost out of time. Do it, Minato nodded, standing. 8-sign seal. The third Hokage said as the Shinigami extended its arm from his chest once again, this time dragging what was left of the Ninetales chakra into Naruto's stomach where the seal formed, trapping the Ninetales. Alright. Now for Kushina. Minato, take care of the hidden leaf. And tell Asuma to hurry up and give me a grandchild. I will, Minato smiled. Thank you again, Lord Third. You're welcome, my friend, the third Hokage smiled. Release. The Shinigami drew the dagger it had clamped in its mouth and in one movement cut its stomach open, the same wound opening on the third Hokage. Then, the Shinigami reached through the third Hokage's chest one last time, its arms stretching around and pulling chakra out of its stomach and passing it into Kushina. The chakra fused with her own, rather than being sealed inside her, and she was healed instantly. Then, the Shinigami's arm retracted from the third Hokage and its knife severed the link between the third Hokage and his chakra. The chakra flew into the Shinigami's mouth and the Shinigami faded. Then, the third Hokage fell forward. Minato caught him and set him down gently before helping his wife up. The two of them then walked over to their son and smiled. I'm sorry, Naruto, Minato smiled. But it looks like you're stuck with us. Time skip 8 years. Minato pushed his seat back, standing and looking at the ANBU that had entered his office seriously. What news? Minato questioned, and the ANBU knelt. The bandits are massing on the border, the ANBU reported seriously. They eliminated 2/3 of our scouting force. They had inside information. They knew what we were planning. I see, Minato sighed, sitting back down. Please summon Hamura Mitokado and Koharu Yudatane. Yes, sir, the ANBU said, leaving with the body flicker technique. A moment later, both of the village elders walked in along with Sasuke and Shursui Uchiha and Danzo Shimura. Hello, Itachi, Shursui, Minato said pleasantly, then glared at Danzo, who he had never liked. I did not send for you, Danzo. As a village elder, I am entitled to be present at any meeting I wish, Danzo stated, as if daring Minato to challenge him. A very unwise challenge, given who he was talking to. Hamura, Koharu, I brought you here to discuss the bandits, Minato stated. However, as I remember specifically ordering Danzo to shut down Root, and it has yet to end, I do not believe he can be trusted with such sensitive matters. As such, I might as well hear what you two have to say. He looked at Shursui, who looked at Itachi. I suppose since everyone here is aware of my role as ANBU, Itachi sighed. The Uchiha are planning to take power. I tried to speak out against it, but they would not listen. My father suggested it. This is a very serious accusation, Danzo stated. Why would the two of you, both Uchihas, possibly want to rat on your own clan? I think that this is all an elaborate scheme to take power from the Fugaku Uchiha. It is not, Shursui stated calmly. We have proof. A letter from Fugaku to several co-conspirators. Let me see, Minato commanded, holding his hand out. Shursui handed it to him and Minato read it carefully, then stared at the signature at the bottom. It's genuine, Minato stated. This is very troubling. If it is genuine, we must act immediately, Danzo advised. We should put the Uchiha threat down immediately. What? Koharu gasped. Just wipe them out. Why would we do that? Danzo's right, Hamura stated. We must make an example of them. Treachery will not be tolerated. No, Minato interrupted. We are not going to exterminate an entire clan because a few want power. We don't have to, Itachi stated. We can arrest my father. If we do, we will essentially cut the head off of the snake. But we don't know for sure, Danzo argued. We should just wipe them out so that we can be sure. Watch what you say, Shursui warned as both he and Itachi activated their Sharingan. Especially when you speak of wiping out our clan in front of us. Enough, Minato shouted. We are not massacring the Uchiha. Why are you so against bringing Fugaku in, Danzo? What are you so afraid of? What are you hiding? Nothing, Lord Fourth, Danzo assured him. Good, Minato growled, standing. Because if I find out you had any hand in this uprising for your own reasons, you're a dead man. Do you understand? You had better pray Fugaku doesn't implicate you. Dismissed. But, dismissed. Minato interrupted and Danzo bowed and left, and Minato waited for a moment before turning back to the Uchiha. Itachi, shadow him, carefully. I don't trust him. Itachi bowed and left with the body flicker technique, and Minato turned to Shursui. Shursui, get Kakashi into his A and B uniform and have him help you arrest Fugaku and the other names implicated by this letter, Minato ordered. Take them all to torture and interrogation. Start with Fugaku. Something tells me Danzo didn't leave to tend a garden. Shursui bowed and took the letter, then also left. Lastly, Minato turned to Hamura and Koharu. As for you two, Minato began. Never invite yourself to a private meeting. Now, the bandits had inside information on our movements. That means that someone at our last meeting on how to deal with them was a traitor. That would mean either you two or Danzo. I suspect him more than either of you. As such, I want you to send Shikaku, Guy, Kurenai, and Asuma to deal with the bandits. Tell them to take up to 5 others but to move quickly and silently. The 2 elders nodded and left, and Minato sat down looking at the scrolls on his desk. He used his clones to do his paperwork usually, but he doubted even they could focus long enough to do the paperwork now. He decided to have a few clones try and created 3, then teleported back to his house to see his wife and Naruto. Kakashi knocked on the front door and Mikoto answered. Oh, hello, Mikoto greeted pleasantly. Can I help you? We need to see Fugaku, Kakashi stated kindly. Is he in? Sure, just a minute, Mikoto smiled. Fugaku, you have company. They waited patiently and Kakashi nodded to tell Shursui to be the one to speak. Hello, Fugaku stated stepping out. I know why you're here. I'll come quietly, as will all of my partners. Just give me a moment so that Mikoto doesn't panic. Shursui nodded and Fugaku walked back into the house. A minute later, Fugaku walked out and led them through the Uchiha compound and collected the other 5. All of them were taken to the torture and interrogation force, and once there, Fugaku instantly requested to have Inoichi search his mind. The moment they were linked, Fugaku began to tell him everything. Danzo closed his suitcase and ran. Once he was on top of the wall on the outside of the village, he killed the 2 shinobi guarding the entrance. Then, he detonated the explosive tags in his house. With the signal sent, the missing nin he had hired, that posed as bandits and that had been planning on taking over the village after the Uchiha had been eradicated, weakening the military strength of the village, rushed over the wall just as Minato, Itachi, Shursui, Kakashi, and Guy arrived. Danzo glared at them as the missing nin charged, 50 in total, all ranging from B to S rank. I'll get Danzo, Minato stated. You all handle the missing nin. The others should be arriving shortly to back us up, Guy stated. I rushed back so they should be about 5 minutes out. Let's be done when they get here. Agreed, Itachi nodded as he, Shursui, and Kakashi activated their Sharingan. The 4 of them charged into the ninja, laying waste to their numbers and leaving corpses in their wake. While they did, Danzo dropped off of the wall and darted into the trees, sending out shadow clones, then turning the real him invisible and cutting left, running away at a 45-degree angle. Minato sent a clone after all of the other Danzos, all of which were designed to leave a seal in the air for 5 seconds after they were destroyed or released so that Minato could catch up. However, when all of his clones reported that they were simply clones that they had chased, he understood that Danzo was gone and turned back to help the others. 2 missing nin were still alive, one with gray hair combed back and holding a 3-bladed red scythe and wearing only pants and sandals, and the other with long yellow hair and a ponytail with bangs over his left hair and a dark gray trench coat. He held a pair of kunai and kept glancing at the other ninja while backing away slowly. I didn't sign up for this, the blonde stated, clearly meaning to get away. Get a grip, the other snarled. It's not like we've never fought multiple shinobi before. Easy for you to say. He was cut off by one of Minato's kunai sticking into the back of his head deep enough to kill him. Then, Minato appeared next to the kunai and slashed the other shinobi's throat. Both fell to the ground, but the blonde turned into a mass of white clay and then melted. Minato sighed and retrieved his kunai and ordered the corpses buried. After about 3 hours, it was done and Minato returned to Fugaku and Inoichi for negotiations and sentencing. Since you came in willingly, named your co-conspirators, and willingly told us about Danzo's part, I will let you off easy, Minato stated. You will spend exactly 5 years in Hozuki Castle with the others. After that time, you will be welcomed back so long as you never attempt a coup d'etat again. Thank you, Lord Fourth, Fugaku said, bowing. I am recommending Itachi for clan head. I think he would be perfect for the position. Minato smiled and nodded. Fugaku was right. Itachi was a natural leader. He would make a good clan head. Minato sighed and returned to his home. He had had enough for the day. Time skipped 2 years. Minato watched Naruto walk into the academy and smiled. He's starting this year too, huh? Itachi asked from behind him as Sasuke walked past. Yes, Minato smiled. How's the clan? We're good, Itachi sighed. I just hate doing the paperwork. Mine's worse, Minato smirked. I'm sure, Itachi smiled. How do you do it? Clones, Minato smiled. Always works. That's actually an excellent idea, Itachi commented. Don't know why I never thought of that. So, what have you taught Naruto? Minato grinned. Alright class, Iruka called out, keeping a wary eye on the blonde boy in the center of the room. We're going to start with shuriken training and sparring. If you would all follow me. He led them out to the yard where several dummies, targets, and 3 sparring rings were set up. First up, Sasuke Uchiha, Iruka said over his students. Please throw these 20 shuriken at the dummy. Sasuke took them and threw them all, hitting the dummy in the face, throat, and over the heart. Excellent, Iruka commended. Now, Naruto Uzumaki. Please throw these kunai at the target. Naruto took all 20 and threw them all at the same time. When they finished, they formed 2 angry eyes with one for a slit pupil in each, and a mouth with sharp teeth grinning. The kunai were thrown so perfectly that when Iruka removed the kunai, the face was still visible in the marks. Good, Iruka grumbled. Now, the 2 of you will spar. Watch carefully, class. They both walked into the ring and Sasuke smirked. Whatever the others say, that was impressive, Sasuke stated. But why that face? I had enough, Naruto shrugged. Why not? Sasuke swung a punch at Naruto, who ducked under it, then stood with an uppercut. Sasuke barely managed to get out of the way and swung at Naruto, but Naruto caught it and spun, throwing Sasuke out of the ring. Sasuke grabbed Naruto and pulled him with him, and they landed at the exact same time outside the ring. Ta, Iruka stated. Not bad. Now, up next is Sakura Haruno and Ino Yamanaka. Hey Naruto, Sasuke called, catching up to him after school. Where'd you learn to fight? My mom and dad taught me, mostly my dad since my mom is more of a brawler, Naruto stated. But my dad's fighting style also relies heavily on his teleportation jutsu, so I'm not very good. I'd say you're pretty skilled, Sasuke stated. If you want, I can ask Itachi if he can teach you taijutsu if you want. Or you could have Guy teach you. Is he that guy that's always wearing green and shouting about youth? Naruto questioned. Yeah, Sasuke smirked. Then no way, Naruto smirked. I'll stick to having your brother teach me, if he agrees. Sasuke nodded, then grinned. I'm going to beat you next time, Sasuke smirked. Next time it's a jutsu fight. You're on, Naruto smirked. I bet I'll graduate before you. No way, Sasuke laughed. I'll graduate years before you. They continued to argue as they walked toward their houses before finally parting ways. Time skipped 2 years. Listen up, the shinobi shouted. I'm only going to say this once. Congratulations on graduating from the academy, but you all have a very long way to go. Even before you go on your first mission, you will be assigned to teams led by a jonin. These jonin will decide whether or not to allow you to stay or fail you. If you fail, you will be put through the academy again. You don't have to scare them, Genma, Iruka said from behind him. Look, the only jonin who might actually fail you is Kakashi Hatake. He's never passed the team, so don't feel bad. The other jonin will just train you harder if they see fit. If you fail with Kakashi, Minato will probably just give you a different jonin. Anyway, Genma has the team list. Genma listed off the first 6 teams without it being anyone Naruto knew the name of. Team 7 will be Naruto Uzumaki, Sakura Haruno, and Sasuke Uchiha, Genma read. Perfect, Sasuke grinned. We'll see if all that training Shursui gave you was good for anything. You know you're going to lose to me, Naruto grinned. What about me? Sakura questioned, looking to Sasuke. You might be useful, Sasuke smirked. If you could fight. Or if you were a medic, Naruto added. Hey, no giving her any bright ideas, Sasuke smirked. Would you trust her to give you an open heart surgery on the battlefield? Good point, Naruto smirked. Can we continue? Genma questioned. By all means, Naruto grinned, waving his hand. Genma rolled his eyes and looked back at the list. Team 8 will be Kiba Inuzuka, Shino Aburame, and Hinata Hyuga, Genma read. Why am I stuck with the creep? Kiba complained. Hinata I can deal with, but why him? You should be more careful what you say, Shino stated. Naruto twisted around to look at Hinata out of the corner of his eye and noticed a slightly disappointed look on her face, but then looked back at Kiba. Shino's right, Naruto grinned. You never know when he'll snap and kill us all. I resent that remark, Shino stated. The last team, Genma shouted over them to get their attention, will be Choji Akimichi, Shikamaru Nara, and Ino Yamanaka. What a drag, Shikamaru sighed. Cheer up, Shikamaru, Choji suggested. It can't be that bad. Maybe we'll be paid with food. Can I be traded with Sakura? Ino pleaded. No, Genma stated flatly. Now, each of the teams will be given a location to meet your captains at. Your captain's name will also be on your paper. You will be expected to meet them there in 1 hour. They all left and collected their papers and met outside. You've got to be kidding, Naruto sighed. What? Sakura questioned. We're meeting him in the classroom we just left, Naruto stated. Damn, Sasuke groaned. Alright. Who is it? You want the truth or do you want me to sugarcoat it? Naruto smirked. Truth, Sasuke stated. Sugar-coated, Sakura answered. Sugar-coated, it doesn't say, Naruto smirked. In truth, it says Kakashi Hatake? We're fucked, Sasuke groaned. Come on, Naruto sighed. Might as well go meet him. They walked into the room and Naruto instantly filled a bucket with water and set it on the top of the door after cracking it open. Sasuke handed him 5 ryo and they sat waiting for their captain. So, Sakura yawned after an hour of silence. How much you want to bet he failed us already because Naruto got the wrong room number? No, Sasuke sighed looking at the paper. The number's right. He's just late. Not that late I hope, a voice said as a shinobi with a standard Konoha Jonin uniform on but with his forehead protector covering his left eye climbed in through the window. You were supposed to use the door, Naruto complained. Kakashi smiled behind the mask covering his lower face and pushed the window open some more to drop to the floor, and a second bucket of water fell onto him, drenching him. I can't believe that worked, Sasuke smiled handing over more Rio. When did you? Kakashi began but stopped pulling the bucket off of his head and looking at his newest students. Alright. Since it's only about 8, I'm going to test you today and get to know you after. The others will likely be doing it the other way around. Now follow me. With that, he turned and disappeared out the window. The others followed but he was already gone. God, he's fast, Sasuke sighed. Luckily, I have a clone following him, Naruto smirked. You know how to make shadow clones? Sakura questioned. Yes. He's this way. He led them to a clearing on the edge of a river where there were 3 wooden posts opposite a memorial stone. Kakashi was sitting on top of the middle post and waiting patiently for them. Welcome, Kakashi greeted, stopping a counter. You're earlier than I expected. Anyway, the test is simple. I'll set this timer, then you 3 will have to get these 2 bells from me. He held up 2 small golden bells and they all nodded. Now, when the timer goes off, Kakashi continued, we'll break for lunch. What happens to the person with no bell? Naruto questioned. Very perceptive, Kakashi smirked. The person who does the poorest job before lunch will be tied to this post while the other 2 eat. He will not be fed. Anyone that feeds him will cause the entire team to fail instantly. By the end of the test, the ninja with no bell will fail. And the other 2 will pass. They all nodded again and Kakashi held his hand over the timer. Begin in 3, 2, 1. He hit the button and instantly disappeared. Naruto sighed and created 3 clones, 2 of which turned into replicas of Sasuke and Sakura. Then, all 6 of them ran into the trees and split into mixed teams of 2. After about 5 minutes, Sasuke and his clone of Naruto found Kakashi. Kakashi instantly attacked them with a clone of his own and Naruto's clone was destroyed instantly. Naruto, who was with the real Sakura, instantly headed in that direction with her and met his other 2 clones there. When they arrived, the first thing they saw was Sasuke standing in the middle of a clearing looking at them. Then, he fell forward with a kunai sticking out of his back and they saw a shinobi with a blank forehead protector standing there grinning. Fetch, Naruto smirked. The 2 clones charged forward and leapt at the ninja but it destroyed them both and Naruto sighed. Genjutsu, Naruto stated, making the seal of confrontation. Release. The image they were both seeing blurred then faded and was replaced by Sasuke's head sticking out of the ground and glaring at them. Are you going to get me out of there or just stand there? Sasuke questioned. Genjutsu, Naruto explained before pulling Sasuke out by the hair. Sakura, check the river. Sakura nodded and ran to the river. Once she was gone, Naruto and Sasuke followed at a small distance. When they reached the river, Kakashi and Sakura were fighting. She was doing well, but he was obviously toying with her. Watch this, Naruto smirked before flooding the area with clones. The clones instantly restrained Kakashi, but the moment they did, Kakashi's right hand lit up with lightning and destroyed the clones around him. Then, the lightning disappeared and he leapt out onto the water. So many, Kakashi gasped after he could see the entire clearing. Alright. I'll have to. I don't believe it. Naruto had released all of his clones and was leaning on a post holding 2 bells. He tossed one into the air and Sakura and Sasuke both dove for it, but Sasuke got to it first. I'm impressed, Kakashi called, walking over just as the bell went off and Naruto shut it off. Alright. Sasuke. You're the one going to the post. Sakura, please throw me those bells. They each handed them to Sakura, who threw them to him. Then Kakashi walked over and tied Sasuke to the post, and they got out their lunch. Alright, Kakashi sighed. Now remember what I said. Anyone feeds him, and you all go back to the academy. They nodded and Kakashi left. Once he was gone, Sakura opened her food and began to eat but kept glancing at Sasuke. Here, Naruto sighed, holding out some of his food with the chopsticks for Sasuke. You need to be able to fight. You may not need food as often as I do thanks to a certain disability. But you still need to eat. Just before Sasuke could take a bite, a cloud of smoke exploded up in front of them and Kakashi stepped out of it, hands on his hips, bent forward to glare at them. You! Kakashi shouted. You didn't listen! I told you not to feed him. Now you face the consequences. Now you all pass. Gesundheit, Naruto said calmly. You're joking, right? Sasuke questioned. Naruto fed me, and so we passed? It was to test your teamwork, Kakashi stated. You did that both by beating my test and getting the bells, and yes, by Naruto feeding you. One of the most important parts of teamwork is making sure that your team can continue fighting, not just continuing yourself. Naruto sighed and cut Sasuke free and stood, looking back at Kakashi. So, when's our first mission? Naruto questioned. Whenever the 4th Hokage gives it to us, Kakashi stated. In the meantime, we're going to go get something to eat. Naruto sat on the steps beside Sasuke and Sakura while Kakashi leaned against the railing across from them. Alright, Kakashi began. Since you're going to be my first team in years, why don't we start with getting to know each other? Say your name, your dream, and some of your hobbies, things you hate, etc. Why don't you go first, Sakura? Alright, Sakura nodded. I'm Sakura Haruno. What I mean the person I like is She looked over at Sasuke and blushed, resting her chin on her hands. My hobby is my dream for the future is this time. She squeezed her eyes shut and screamed into her hands out of excitement. And what do you hate? Kakashi questioned, not expecting an answer. Naruto, Sakura shouted. And anyone that tried to hurt Sasuke. As if you could do anything about it, Naruto smirked. Go ahead, Naruto, Kakashi sighed. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, Naruto smirked. I like ramen, my mother's cooking, and training. I hate making my mother mad, and people that think they can pick on people just for the hell of it. My hobbies are spending time with friends and family and training. My dream is to become Hokage. Alright, Kakashi nodded. Your turn. My name is Sasuke Uchiha, Sasuke stated calmly. My hobbies are training, pushing my limits, and spending time with my older brother and mother. I like to train, to be strong, and to beat Naruto at anything and everything. I dislike coming in last, seeing my friends in pain, seeing people take advantage of each other, and traitors. As for my dream is to one day surpass my brother as a ninja and prove my worth. Now you Kakashi, Naruto grinned. I'm Kakashi Hatake, Kakashi stated. Things I like and things I hate, I don't feel like telling you that. My dreams for the future, never really thought about it. As for my hobbies, I have lots of hobbies. Well, that was totally useless, Sakura stated. All you told us was your name, did I? Kakashi wondered aloud. Strange. Usually I don't give away that much free information. Kakashi, Minato suddenly interrupted, appearing beside Naruto. I have a mission for the four of you. It's only a C-rank mission, but I suspect it may be a bit more dangerous than the normal variety. What is it? Naruto questioned. You'll have to come get the scroll to find out, Minato smiled. Plus, you have to meet the client anyway. And with that, he was gone again. Dangerous, huh? Kakashi wondered aloud. He must have a lot of faith in this team. Come on, shouldn't keep him waiting. Actually, Sasuke, Sakura, you two go on ahead. I need to speak with Naruto for a moment. They both nodded and left, and Naruto turned to him. I was wondering, does anyone know who your father is? Kakashi questioned. It's alright to say it, but I don't generally tell anyone unless they ask, Naruto replied. It's not exactly a secret, just that no one bothers to ask. Sasuke knows though. I see, Kakashi nodded. Has he taught you his teleportation jutsu yet? He says I can't learn it until I'm ready, Naruto grumbled. But I suppose if this mission is dangerous, it might be his way of telling me I'm ready. Kakashi nodded and they caught up with the others and went to get their mission. Ah, there you are, Minato smiled. The mission is an escort service. Depending on who want him out of the way, it could be anywhere from D to A rank in difficulty, so be careful. Pay may increase depending on how the mission plays out. Who are we escorting? Kakashi questioned. Me, stated a gray-haired, bespectacled man with a large beard and dark eyes, wearing a sleeveless V-neck shirt with an obi, pants, and sandals as he stepped into the room. He also carried a towel around his neck and wore a pointed hat on his head and reeked of alcohol. There was a bottle in his hand and Naruto doubted it was soda. A bunch of brats? The man spat after taking a moment to look at his bodyguards. I thought I hired protection, not signed on as a babysitter. You saying you'd rather go alone than with 3 genin capable of fighting jonin and a jonin capable of fighting sanin? Naruto questioned, exaggerating quite a lot. Genin, huh? The man questioned before belching. Your funerals. At least I get one real ninja. Name's Tazuna. Naruto smirked. Shall we? Alright, Kakashi smiled. Time to leave. They left the village and began walking away, and after a couple of minutes of Sakura trying to get Sasuke to talk to her, Naruto felt his foot sink into water. He looked down and saw 2 puddles, one of which his foot was in, but it was as warm as a hot spring, and he knew it hadn't rained in days. He pulled his foot out of the water and shook it. Going to have to watch my step, Naruto commented. Last thing I need is to catch a cold. True, Kakashi smiled. They continued walking, and after less than a minute, 2 shinobi, one wearing a black cloak over a gray shirt and pants and the other without the cloak, exploded out of the puddle, landing on opposite sides of Kakashi, and swung their mechanical, clawed hands, one each, the spike chain attached to their arms, connecting them, wrapped around Kakashi, restraining and constricting him. Then, they both pulled on the chains hard and Kakashi was ripped to shreds. Then, the ninja appeared behind Naruto. Now it's your turn, the 2 growled. They jumped back and began flailing the chain around, forming loops and bends that they could trap Naruto in. However, before they could do anything, 2 kunai with a set of prongs on the base of the edges of the blade shot out of the air and tacked the chain down exactly 3 lengths from both hands. The 2 ninja tried to stand, but they were stuck. The 2 Naruto clones that had thrown the kunai disappeared and Naruto grinned. Nice try, Naruto smirked. Suddenly, both ejected the chain and one in the cloak shot toward Tazuna while the other charged at Naruto. Protect Tazuna! Naruto shouted, jumping over a slash from his opponent's clawed hand. I've got him. Naruto landed beside the chain and retrieved his kunai, readying himself for another attack. This time, when the shinobi charged, Naruto swept his hand aside with one arm, careful to avoid the claws, then drove his right kunai into the shinobi's stomach. The shinobi dropped and Naruto pulled the kunai out and leapt back as the shinobi slashed at him again. The gauntlet was on his left arm while the other, which Sasuke was fighting, wore his on the right arm. Naruto ducked under a third slash, then switched his kunai to reverse grip and began spinning and slashing his opponent with them, ending the fight by disabling both arms and legs but not killing the ninja. His opponent dropped to the ground just as Kakashi appeared and knocked the other out with a hit to the back of the neck. Then, Kakashi looked over at Naruto and blinked in surprise. "Impressive work, Naruto," Kakashi commended. "You too, Sasuke. Sakura, next time, perhaps you should spend less time staring at Sasuke, and more time helping him." Kakashi tied the two ninja to a tree, then stepped back as they both woke up. "Let us go," the one with the cloak demanded. "I don't think so," Kakashi smiled. "Judging by their skill, I'd guess they're Chunin, right?" Naruto smirked. "That's correct," Kakashi nodded. "Their specialty lies in relentless attack. Not stopping until the job is done." "How did you know about our ambush?" the one Naruto had fought questioned. "Simple," Naruto replied. "It hasn't rained in weeks, it's a clear day, and I stepped in a puddle with no water anywhere nearby. Not to mention the puddle was at body temperature. I figured it out from everything except the temperature, since I didn't step in it," Kakashi stated. "If that's true, why did you leave it for the genin to fight them?" Tazuna questioned. "Simple," Kakashi stated. "If I had taken them out early, I wouldn't have learned anything. I wanted to know who their target was and what they were after." "What are you getting at?" Tazuna questioned. "I needed to know if they were after us, ninja attacking ninja," Kakashi stated. "Or if they were after you, the master bridge builder. When you put in your request, you asked for standard protection from robbers and highwaymen. You never said there were ninja looking for you, hunting you down. If we had known this, it would be a B-rank mission or higher. Our task was simply to get you to your destination and protect you while you finished building your bridge. If we had known we were going to be fielding attacks from enemy shinobi, we would have staffed for it and charged for a B-rank mission instead of a C-rank one. Apparently you have your reasons, but lying to us is not acceptable. We are now beyond the scope of this mission. We're genin," Sakura stated. "This is too advanced for our level of training." Kakashi thought. "What do you think, Naruto? I can handle a few Chunin," Naruto smirked. "Unless we have the incredible luck to meet some S-rank missing nin, we can handle it." "I agree," Sasuke spoke up. "We're not likely to meet anything we can't handle. I say we go ahead with the mission." "Alright then," Kakashi smiled. "Let's go." They continued walking for several hours, this time being careful to watch for ninja. Just after nightfall, they reached a port and rented a ferry to go to the land of waves. When they got there, they entered a dense fog, so thick that they couldn't see anything. After a while, they reached the bridge, a massive structure that sat unfinished. "Mr. Tazuna," Kakashi spoke up. "Before we reach the pier, I want to ask you something. The men who are after you, I need to know why. If you don't tell us, I'm afraid I'll have to end this mission when we drop you ashore." "I suppose you should know," Tazuna sighed. "Like you said, this is beyond the scope of the original mission. The one who seeks to end my life is a very short man who casts a very long and deadly shadow." "A deadly shadow?" Kakashi questioned. Who is it?" "I'm sure you've heard his name before," Tazuna stated. "He's one of the wealthiest men in the world. The shipping magnate Gato." "Huh?" Kakashi blinked in surprise. "Gato? Of Gato Transport? He's a business leader. Everyone knows him." "That much is true," Tazuna admitted. "But below the surface, with the same ruthless methods he employs in business, he sells drugs and contraband using gangs and ninja. 1 year ago, he came to the Land of Waves and used his vast wealth and power to take control of our transport and shipping. Anyone who tried to stand in his way disappeared. In an island nation, anyone that controls the sea controls everything. Finance, the government, our very lives. But there's one thing he fears. The bridge. When it's complete, it will join us to the mainland and that will break his control. And I am the bridge builder." "So that's it," Sakura nodded. "Since you're in charge of the bridge, you're in this gangster's way." "That means the ninja from the forest were working for Gato," Sasuke stated. "I don't understand," Kakashi began. "If you knew he was dangerous, knew he would send ninja after you, why did you hide that from us?" "Because the Land of Waves is a small impoverished nation," Tazuna replied. "Even our nobles have little money. The common people who are building this bridge, they can't pay for an A or B ranks mission. It's too expensive. If you end the mission when you drop me ashore, there will be no bridge. They'll assassinate me before I reach home. Then I suppose we'll just have to do what we were hired to do, huh?" Naruto smirked from the front of the boat. Tazuna smiled and nodded. After another few minutes, they reached a tunnel and silently entered it, passing through quickly but quietly. On the other side, they could see that there was a wide bay with trees growing out of the water and buildings lining the port. They made their way to the dock and got out, then watched as the ferry sped away using the motor, since silence was no longer an issue. "Right, now take me to my home, and I mean get me there in one piece," Tazuna ordered. "Right," Kakashi nodded. "The next ninja they send won't be Chunin. They'll be Jonin. Elite ninja with deadly skills." After several minutes, Naruto heard someone off to one side and threw a kunai that way, and they all watched silently for a moment before cautiously walking over. The thing he had thrown his kunai at was a rabbit. It was pure white and laying against the tree in shock with the kunai just above his head. Oops, Naruto grimaced, walking over and retrieving his kunai, then walking back to the others. My bad, that's a snow rabbit, Kakashi thought. But the color, they only have white fur during winter. When the days are short, and there's little sunlight, Kakashi slowly turned around and took in their surroundings. This rabbit was raised indoors, away from the light, which could only be for one purpose, Kakashi thought. Replacement technique. He turned around and looked into the tree over the others just as something in it moved. Look out! Kakashi shouted. Naruto instantly shoved both Sasuke and Sakura out of the way, then leapt into the air with Tazuna as a massive sword passed under them, spinning through the spot they had all previously occupied. The blade stuck in a tree and a shinobi landed on the grip, staring down at them. He wore gray pants, camouflage forearm and leg warmers over black sandals, had pale skin, no shirt, bandages around his neck and over the bottom of his face, had his forehead protector sideways so that it was on the side of his head and crooked, and had a harness running diagonally up his chest then around his neck to hold his sword. That must be Kakashi thought, then looked at his team. Well, if it isn't Zabuza Momochi, rogue ninja from the village hidden in the mist, Kakashi greeted, stepping forward. Rogue ninja, huh? Naruto thought. This ought to be interesting. Stay back, you three, Kakashi ordered. He's in a whole other league from the others. If he's our opponent, I'll need this. He reached for his forehead protector and pulled it up off of his left eye, revealing a red iris with 3 black tomo evenly spaced around it, and an old scar running down through his eye. Likely why his eye was different. Kakashi of the Sharingan eye, Zabuza snarled. Did I get that right? Sasuke looked at Kakashi in surprise and distrust, but Kakashi simply glared at Zabuza. It's too bad, Zabuza smirked. But you'll have to hand over the old man. Manji formation, Kakashi ordered. Protect Tazuna and stay out of this fight. I taught you teamwork and now it's time you use it. I'm ready. Well, looks like I get to see the Sharingan in action, Zabuza sneered. This is an honor. Suddenly a very thick fog began to roll in and Naruto instantly realized it wasn't natural. We have a standing order, Jonin, Zabuza snarled. We were supposed to destroy you on sight. Your profile was in our bingo book. It called you, the man who copied over 1,000 jutsu, Kakashi, the copy ninja. Looks like our captain's famous, Naruto grinned. Enough talking, Zabuza decided. I have to exterminate the old man now. Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura instantly slid into Manji formation around Tazuna, making sure that Zabuza couldn't get to Tazuna before they got to him. So I have to exterminate you first, Kakashi? Zabuza questioned. So be it. He dropped down, grabbing his sword and kicking off the tree, taking the sword with him, then vanishing. They all looked around, but Naruto saw him first. Won the water! Naruto warned. Zabuza was standing atop the water with his right hand a seal of confrontation in front of him, and the other hand in the same seal over his head. He's building up a huge amount of chakra, Kakashi thought, readying himself. Ninja art, hidden mist jutsu. Zabuza growled before vanishing again as the fog thickened considerably. He vanished, Sakura gasped. Sensei? He'll come after me first, Kakashi stated. But who is he? Sakura questioned. Zabuza Momochi, Kakashi stated. The ex-leader of the Hidden Mist Assassination Unit. He's a master of the silent killing technique. As the name suggests, without sound or warning of any kind. It's so fast you pass from this life without realizing that it happened. The Sharingan cannot fully neutralize it, so don't lower your guard. Well, if we fail, we only lose our lives. How can you say that? Sakura questioned. This is some mist, Naruto commented. The land of waves is surrounded by ocean, Tazuna stated. The swirling mists are ever present. Sensei! Sakura suddenly called as the mist was too thick to see him anymore. 8 points, Zabuza's voice said, drifting out of the mist. What's that? Sakura gasped. Larynx, spine, lungs, liver, jugular, subclavian artery, kidneys, heart, Zabuza listed. Now, which will be my kill point? After another tense moment, Kakashi formed a hand seal and sent his chakra out in a pulse that pushed the mist away, clearing their view. What an intense thirst for blood, Sasuke thought. One shallow breath, one tiny movement of the eye, is enough to bring on instant death. If it goes on like this, I'll go insane. A clash of 2 jonin intent to kill. I've never felt anything so chilling. It's as if my own life is being choked off. He gripped his kunai with both hands so tightly that it shook and his knuckles turned white. Sasuke! Kakashi called. Calm down. I'll protect you with my life. All of you. I will not allow my comrades to die. Trust me, I wouldn't be so sure, Zabuza sneered, suddenly appearing directly in the center of Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke. It's over. Kakashi leapt at Zabuza, shoving the others out of the way. Kakashi drove his kunai into Zabuza's chest, but all that poured out was water. Then, the real Zabuza appeared behind Kakashi. Behind you! Naruto shouted. Die! Zabuza shouted, swinging at Kakashi. The sword tore through Kakashi, bisecting him. Then, Kakashi also turned into water. The water clone jutsu, Zabuza snarled. It can't be. Even in the mist he was able to copy my jutsu. Suddenly Kakashi appeared behind him with his kunai to his throat. Now it's over, Kakashi stated. All right. Naruto cheered, but Zabuza simply laughed. Finished? Zabuza smirked. You really don't get it. Your jutsu is nothing but a crass imitation. I'll never be beaten by a mere copycat ninja like you. You are full of surprises, though. You'd already copied my water clone jutsu when you made your little speech. Very skillfully executed. You made your clone say those words to draw my attention, while you hid in the mist, waiting for me to make my move. Nice try. But I'm not that easy to fool, the real Zabuza finished as he appeared behind Kakashi, swinging his massive blade. Kakashi ducked under it, and the sword stuck into the ground. Zabuza instantly spun, switching hands and kicking Kakashi away. Now! Zabuza said, grabbing his sword and running after Kakashi, but slid to a stop just short of a field of Makibishi spikes. Makibishi spikes. Trying to slow me down. Useless. He turned and did a backflip over the spikes just as Kakashi splashed down in the water. Kakashi began to push himself up just as Zabuza appeared behind him. Ha ha, fool, Zabuza laughed. Water prison jutsu. No! Kakashi gasped before being trapped inside a sphere of water. This cage is made of water, but it's harder than steel, Zabuza stated. It's hard to fight when you can't move. I'll finish you off later. But first, your little friends need to be eliminated. Water clone jutsu. A clone of Zabuza formed in front of Naruto and the others and laughed. You think wearing a headband makes you a ninja? Zabuza questioned. When you've hovered between life and death so many times that it doesn't faze you, you may be called a ninja. When you've become so deadly that your profile has been entered into my bingo book, then you may have earned the title ninja. But to call upstarts like you ninja is a joke. And with that, he reformed the mist and vanished. Damn this mist, Naruto growled seconds before Zabuza's knee collided with his face. His forehead protector sailed away and he crashed down hard. You're just brats, Zabuza stated, stomping on Naruto's forehead protector. Naruto! Sakura shouted. Listen! Kakashi shouted. Get the bridge builder and run. You can't win this fight. He's using all his power to keep me in this prison, so he can only fight you with his water clone, but his clone can't go far from his real body. If you get away from him, he can't follow. Now run. We've got to do it, Sasuke suddenly said after a moment. He charged at the clone, hurling shuriken, but the clone slashed them out of the air easily. Sasuke leapt into the air and moved to smash his fists into Zabuza's clone, but he easily caught Sasuke by the throat. Then, he turned, throwing Sasuke away. Naruto took his turn, charging forward and leaping at Zabuza, but instead of attack, he curled into a ball as Zabuza kicked him. Then, he landed on his feet in front of Sasuke. Ready? Naruto smirked, lifting the headband he had grabbed when Zabuza had kicked him and putting it back on his head. What are you doing? Kakashi shouted. This fight was over the moment I got caught. I told you to run, now do it. Your mission isn't to show how brave you are, it's to save the bridge builder. Bridge builder? Naruto questioned, looking at Tazuna. We run, he tracks us, Tazuna stated plainly. We need to end it here. You don't get it, Zabuza sneered. Long ago, there was a graduation exam at my village. In order to graduate, you had to massacre your entire class. However, one boy, not even old enough to take the exam, slaughtered them all easily. And it felt so good. Suddenly he was beside them and smashed Sasuke away, then smashed down on his stomach before resting his foot on his chest and reaching for his sword. Don't even think about it, Naruto shouted, created a dozen shadow clones. Oh, shadow clones, Zabuza smirked. And there's quite a few of them. The Narutos all leapt into the air, attacking Zabuza kunai first, and he blocked them all with his sword, then spun, throwing them off of himself and slashing a few. When Naruto hit and began sliding, he opened his backpack and pulled out a Fuma shuriken. I'm not giving up, I've still got this. Naruto grinned, throwing it. Sasuke, he caught it and spun, unfolding it and holding it in front of himself. Demon Wind Shuriken, Windmill of Shadows, Sasuke said, glaring at Zabuza. A shuriken? Zabuza scoffed. You'll never touch me with that. Sasuke leapt into the air, hurling the shuriken past the clone at the real Zabuza. So, you passed my clone and aimed for my real body? Smart, Zabuza snarled before catching the shuriken. But not smart enough. Suddenly a second shuriken appeared on the edge of his vision, heading straight toward him. A second shuriken in the shadow of the first, Zabuza growled. Shadow Shuriken Jutsu, typical. At the last second, Zabuza leapt over the shuriken, allowing it to sail past him. I told you a shuriken can't touch me, Zabuza shouted. Suddenly, the second shuriken was covered in smoke before a kunai sailed out of it, and the smoke cleared to reveal a Naruto clone. Zabuza dodged the kunai, ripping his hand free of the water prison jutsu in the process, and the water crashed down, leaving Kakashi free again. Zabuza moved to throw the shuriken at Naruto, but he disappeared in a puff of smoke seconds before Kakashi kicked Zabuza away, taking the shuriken and throwing it to the sand in front of Sasuke. I'll take it from here, Kakashi stated. Excellent plan, by the way. I'm impressed. I got distracted and lost my grip on my jutsu, Zabuza stated. Don't flatter yourself, Kakashi sneered. You were forced to let go. Outsmarted by a couple kids. We'll see, Zabuza sneered before beginning to make hand seals. Kakashi instantly copied him, keeping up perfectly and chanting the seal names in unison with him. Finally, they both finished and two dragons made out of water began to rise. Water Dragon Jutsu! They both shouted. The two dragons began to fight, water crashing down all around the two fighters as they continued their battle, Zabuza with his sword and Kakashi with a kunai. Finally they leapt away, pushing off each other's weapons and landing the water at a distance. Then, they circled each other once before stopping and taking the exact same pose, the one Zabuza used to form the hidden mist jutsu and a water clone at the same time. He's not just following, he's predicting, Tazuna pointed out. He moves the exact same way at the exact same time. How? Sakura questioned. My movements, Zabuza thought, lowering his arm to the side as Kakashi did the same. It's as if he knows what I'm going to do next? Kakashi guessed, interrupting an unspoken sentence. What? Zabuza panicked. Is he reading my mind as well? He looks at me with that eye. It makes you furious, doesn't it? Kakashi provoked as they both moved to another hand seal. Ha! Zabuza laughed, forming another hand seal that Kakashi mirrored. All you're doing is copying me. You can't beat me with cheap tricks, they both spoke in unison. I'll crush you. Zabuza's eyes widened and he began making seals and Kakashi mirrored them. When I finish with you, you'll never open that monkey mouth again. Zabuza snarled, then froze, seeing something beside Kakashi, a silhouette. What is that? The silhouette lightened into a spectral version of himself standing behind Kakashi. It's me, Zabuza realized. But how? Is it his illusion jutsu? Water style, giant vortex jutsu, Kakashi said as the tomo in his eye began to spin. What? Zabuza gasped, realizing it was the same jutsu he had been about to use. Water began to rise in front of Kakashi, first forming a ring, then a tunnel, then shooting toward him in a full wall of water. Impossible! Zabuza shouted before the blast hit him and swept him ashore. I was just about to create a vortex, but he created one first. He copies my jutsu before I can even do it. I can't keep up. The vortex sped along the ground, crashing through trees until it finally came to a stop, depositing Zabuza at the base of a tree where Kakashi pinned him with a kunai through each arm and leg. You're finished, Kakashi stated. How? Zabuza questioned. Can you see into the future? Yes, Kakashi said, raising a kunai. This is your last battle, ever. Suddenly, two senbons stuck into the side of Zabuza's neck, making him slump forward, completely still. Kakashi whipped his head around to look where they had come from and saw Kirigakure Anbu standing in the tree. You were right, the Anbu agreed. It was his last battle. Kakashi dropped down beside him, sensing that something was off. He felt for a pulse, but found none. No vital signs, Kakashi reported, turning again to the Anbu. Thank you, the Anbu bowed. I've been tracking Zabuza for a long time, waiting for a chance to finally take him down. By your mask, I see that you're a tracker ninja from the village hidden in the mist, Kakashi stated. Impressive, the Anbu commended. You're well informed. From his voice and size, he's no older than Naruto, Kakashi thought. He's no ordinary kid, but what is he? Thank you again. The Anbu bowed before disappearing and reappearing beside Zabuza, then leaving with the body. That was an impressive shot, Naruto commented. I don't trust him. We haven't completed our mission yet, Kakashi stated. Let's get the bridge builder to his bridge. Sorry I caused all this trouble, Tazuna apologized. You can all rest at my house when we get to the village. Alright, Kakashi smiled. Let's get going. Just as he took a step, he stiffened, then began to fall. Naruto appeared in front of him, catching him and setting him down gently. Kakashi-sensei, Shinobi versus Shinobi. We were a pretty good team, Naruto commented as he sat on the pier with Sasuke beside him. But next time, maybe we should start being a team a little earlier. You mean like before you get yourself beat up trying to get that stupid headband? Sasuke smirked. For example, Naruto grinned. Come on, let's go see if Kakashi's awake yet. They walked around the house, reaching the door at the same time as Sakura. They all went inside wordlessly and found Kakashi awake. Well, look who's awake, Naruto said, announcing their presence. Listen, sensei, Sakura began. Your Sharingan's amazing and all, but if it puts that much strain on you, maybe it's not worth it. Sorry, Kakashi apologized. Well, he did take down one of the most powerful ninja assassins, so we should be safe for a while, Tazuna stated. Right, but you know that boy with the mask? Sakura questioned. What about him? He's from an elite tracking unit from the village hidden in the mist, Kakashi stated. Those masks are only worn by the most elite shinobi. What exactly do they do? Sakura questioned. The ANBU Black Ops, also known as the Inferno Squad, destroy all traces of a rogue ninja's corpse. A shinobi's body contains many secrets, ninjutsu, chakra, special medicines used on his body. These are the secrets of his village. If his enemies find them, his people will be in grave danger. For instance, if I were to die at the hands of an enemy, he would try to analyze my Sharingan. In the worst case, my entire jutsu could be stolen and used against our village. It is the sacred duty of the shinobi trackers to prevent this. To keep the secrets safe, if a shinobi betrays his village, the ninjas hunt him down, eliminate him, and obliterate any trace of his existence. That's their specialty. Cool, Naruto smirked. You should rest, Tazuna's daughter, Tsunami stated. Alright, Kakashi sighed. We'll be outside if you need anything, Naruto informed him, then left with the others. Once outside, he turned to the others, completely serious. Do you feel it too? Naruto questioned. You mean a sense of foreboding as if Zabuza wasn't truly killed? Sasuke questioned. Yes. So does Kakashi. But the tracker ninja got him? Sakura stated. There's no way he's still alive, right? Maybe the kid wasn't really an ANBU, Naruto suggested. My dad once told me about certain points in the body that can put you into a state of death, without killing you. We should be careful, Sasuke decided. If we're right, we'll see Zabuza again, and I'm going to tear that kid apart, Naruto stated. Don't know why, but he makes me mad. My dad told me about Tracker Ninja. Supposedly they deal with their target's bodies immediately, on the spot. Is that really important? Sakura questioned. Look at it this way, what did the Tracker Ninja do with Zabuza's body? Naruto questioned. We don't know, Sasuke answered. He took it away. Exactly, Naruto stated. If my dad was right, he should have dealt with it exactly where it was. What was used to take him down? Throwing needles, Sasuke realized. That brat hit a pressure point and knocked him out. Zabuza's still alive, Naruto stated. Kakashi's probably decided the same thing by now. What do we do? Sakura questioned. I'm going to train you, Kakashi answered, stepping out of the door. Up and about already? Naruto questioned. Yes, Kakashi smiled. But not up for showing you anything. Then we'll have to wait, won't we? Naruto smirked. We'll start training when you're ready. Fine, Kakashi sighed. Alright, training starts now, Kakashi stated. First, a test of knowledge. What happens when a shinobi uses up all of their chakra? You die, Naruto stated. What are we doing for training? Well, you need to know how to combine the correct chakra types exactly right every time, Kakashi stated. Otherwise the jutsu won't work right. To learn this, you're going to climb a tree. Let me guess, no hands, Naruto smirked. That's right, Kakashi smiled, walking toward a tree, then up the side, crutches and all. Allow me to explain how this helps. Climbing a tree requires a subtle mix of physical and spiritual chakra focused on a very precise point. The bottoms of your feet. This spot is among the hardest to focus energy at, and is a difficult task for even advanced ninja. If you can master this, you can master any jutsu. Well, theoretically. The second point of this task is to learn to maintain your chakra levels. When in battle, it is harder for a ninja to control and maintain his chakra levels, a deadly mistake. To avoid this, maintaining chakra must become second nature, effortless. Here, he threw a kunai to each of them, and they all picked it up. Use the kunai to mark the highest point you can get to on the tree, Kakashi stated. Then try to surpass that mark the next time, and the next, and the next, and so on and so forth. You'll have to run at the tree and use your momentum to carry yourself up it until you get used to it. Ready? Begin! Sasuke and Sakura both took a moment to gather their chakra, then charged at the tree, sprinting up it. Sasuke made it a fair distance before his foot smashed the tree, and he had to slash the tree before jumping off. Sakura, on the other hand, made it twice as far and sat down on a tree branch. Naruto snorted in amusement, and calmly walked toward then up the tree effortlessly, then turning around and sitting on his feet with his back against the tree beside Sakura. What's wrong, Sasuke? Naruto questioned. Can't keep up? Without even forming a hand seal to help gather chakra, Kakashi thought. I'm impressed he is that skilled, even with his father being the fourth Hokage. So your parents taught you this technique already? Kakashi observed. I'm impressed. How's your water walking? Passable, barely, Naruto stated. I see, Kakashi nodded. For now, just stay there as long as you can. Sure, Naruto agreed. Over the next several hours, he watched as both Sakura and Sasuke tried to make it up the tree, but failed. Sakura was incredible at it, whereas Sasuke was trying too hard. Finally, Sakura ran out of energy and collapsed at the base of her tree, and Sasuke stopped to take a break, not even having made it halfway. Sakura eventually was sent to guard Tazuna while Kakashi went to rest, and Naruto kept watch over Sasuke. Focus more on what you're doing than trying to get to the top, Naruto suggested after Sasuke fell before even reaching his last mark. Focus on the chakra in your feet. Sasuke growled in annoyance but did as instructed and shot past his last mark, making it as high as Naruto was before having to mark the tree. Much better, Naruto smiled. Now I want to see you get to the top by night, so let's pick up the pace. Finally Kakashi came to collect them for dinner, and they returned to the house. Sasuke ate as fast as he could to regain his chakra, and Naruto only smirked, using the manners his mother had beaten into him so many times. Finally, while Tsunami was washing the dishes, Sakura noticed a picture on the wall with a corner torn out, removing someone. Hey, why is this picture torn? Sakura questioned. It looks like someone was removed from it. Everyone fell silent, and Naruto had a guess at who it was. It's my husband, Tsunami stated. They used to call him a hero in this land, Tazuna stated. Suddenly Inari excused himself and left. Inari, where are you going? Tsunami called after him, then chased him. I take it there's a story there, Kakashi guessed. He wasn't Inari's real father. He came into our family later, Tazuna began. He brought so much happiness. He and Inari were very close. In those days, Inari used to laugh all the time, but then he clamped his jaw and clenched his fists. All that changed the day it happened, Tazuna continued. He came to our island about 3 years ago. Then, Gato showed up, Tazuna explained after telling them how Inari's father arrived, saved Inari, and became a hero. Kaiza was the only person to stand up to him. And for that, he was beaten. His arms were broken, and then they publicly executed him. Since then, Inari stopped believing. We all did. I'm going to train, Sasuke stated. I'm coming with you, Naruto smirked. Someone's got to carry your ass back here after you fail. By the end of the next 2 days, Sasuke had made it to the very top of the tree and could focus his chakra without the seal. Naruto carried him home due to him being out of chakra, and when they arrived, the others had dinner waiting. They ate then went to bed. The next morning, they left heading for the bridge, but when they arrived, the workers were all either unconscious or dead. They didn't have time to figure it out before the mist began to appear. Seconds after it appeared, 4 Zabuza clones appeared around the group. Sasuke instantly destroyed all 4 and they fell away as water, and Naruto smirked, as did Sasuke. Looks like you have a rival, Haku, Zabuza observed. Seems like it, Haku agreed. Do it, Zabuza ordered. Haku began spinning and approaching Sasuke, then began to attack him. They watched as he and Haku began to fight, Sasuke using a pair of kunai and Haku with a pair of saban. Sasuke kept up with Haku perfectly, and they both struggled to gain the upper hand. We want the bridge builder, not you, Haku stated. If you back down, I won't have to kill you. Save it, Sasuke sneered. You're making a mistake, Haku warned. You won't be able to keep up with my speed. I've gained 2 key advantages. What's that? Sasuke questioned. First, Haku began, we're surrounded by water. Second, I've blocked one of your hands. Therefore, you only have 1 free hand to defend yourself. Haku began to form one-handed hand seals and Sasuke stared in shock. Secret jutsu, 1,000 needles of death, Haku said as the water around them rose and formed thousands of needles. The needles shot at Sasuke as Sasuke began focusing his chakra. When they were about to hit, Haku leapt back and Sasuke jumped, stepping off of one to get extra height, then hurled several shuriken at Haku. Then, he landed and dashed around behind Haku. You're not as fast as you thought, Sasuke smirked. From now on, you'll be the one defending against my attacks. They both jumped away from each other, then spun forward again and swung at each other. Sasuke managed to drive his fist into Haku's stomach while tossing his kunai to his other hand, then threw it at Haku's head. When he dodged it, Sasuke kicked him back to Zabuza. You made a mistake insulting these kids, Kakashi informed him. Sasuke and Naruto are our 2 best young fighters and Sakura is our best young mind. Heh Haku, if we keep going like this, we'll be the victims instead of them, Zabuza stated. Get on with it. Right. Haku nodded as visible blue streams of chakra began floating off of him. I'm sorry it's come to this. The air's so cold, Sasuke breathed. Suddenly ice began to form in the air behind him. He spun around just as the ice formed a mirror and more began to form around him. Secret jutsu, Haku said as still more formed. Crystal ice mirrors. The mirrors formed 2 rings, the upper ring tilted to form a sort of dome. Then, Haku walked into the back of one, joining with it, and becoming a 2-dimensional image in the mirror. Then, was reflected on all of the mirrors, making it impossible to tell which he was actually in. Kakashi rushed forward, but Zabuza appeared in front of him. If you enter this fight, you fight me, Zabuza stated. Your boy has no chance against that jutsu. He's finished. Now we begin, Haku stated. And you'll see what speed really means. Suddenly, all of the reflections readied 1 saban each. Then, one slashed his right arm, then his left, then they began raining from every direction. Sasuke simply couldn't tell what was coming from where. He could only feel the sting of the saban scratching him. At one point, his kunai was knocked from his hand and sailed out of the ring of mirrors. Sasuke couldn't do anything. He couldn't dodge, block, or counter. He could only cower and try to protect his vital points. Suddenly, Sakura threw it toward him, but just as it was passing a mirror, Haku caught it. Sasuke finally collapsed, the saban finally having stopped. Haku flipped the kunai around to reverse grip just as Naruto threw a shuriken and hit him in the face, knocking him out of the mirror and onto the ground. That's enough, Naruto growled, landing beside Sasuke. You face me now. You got in a lucky shot, and yet you think you can match me? Haku questioned. It's a strong possibility. Naruto smirked, then spun and threw a kunai through a mirror, breaking it. They're not indestructible. Haku instantly charged for the closest mirror, but Naruto appeared beside him and smashed him out of the mirrors as Sasuke stood and destroyed 3. Haku stood and attacked Naruto, but Naruto easily avoided all of his attacks, then drove his fist into Haku's stomach. Haku flew back and into a waiting mirror. Instantly, the ones that Sasuke hadn't destroyed moved around Naruto, and Sasuke joined him just as the others filled in. Can you keep up? Sasuke questioned. Not a chance, Naruto smirked. But it's worth a shot. They both hurled a kunai at each mirror, but they were all deflected with saban just before saban began raining down around them. Both tried to dodge what they could and succeeded some of the time, but now Haku wasn't just looking to scratch, and saban began sticking into them as well as simply scratching. After about 3 minutes, Haku stopped, and Naruto pulled on out and grit his teeth in pain. Damn! Naruto swore after a moment. This is definitely not how I planned this fight. I should hope not. Sasuke smirked just as another saban flew at them. This time, however, Sasuke blocked it with a kunai and then hurled the kunai at the mirror Haku had attacked from. When it was almost there, he saw a blur shoot from one mirror to another, shooting through some mist and displacing it. A saban hit the kunai and Naruto sent a clone at each mirror. Sasuke kicked some water from a puddle into the air and watched carefully. Haku began shooting from mirror to mirror, passing through the water and destroying Naruto's clones. Sasuke thought for a moment, then smirked and nodded to Naruto. Naruto nodded and tried again, and this time, Sasuke waited to see Haku begin to move and launched a fireball at him. Haku dodged out of the way and began destroying the clones. Sasuke sent a fireball past the last Naruto and Haku narrowly escaped it, the fireball singeing his clothes before smashing Naruto back towards Sasuke. Damn it, Naruto groaned, pushing himself up, running low on chakra. So close. One more time, Sasuke ordered. If you can. Oh please, Naruto grinned. This is just a warm-up. The human eye cannot track my movements, Haku thought. It must have been a coincidence. Suddenly, all of the mirrors shone blindingly bright and Sasuke began making hand seals. Naruto, run! Sasuke ordered. Get out of here and attack from the outside. Naruto nodded and sprinted toward the space between two mirrors. Just as he neared it, the mirrors all flashed and he flew backward. He stood and sprinted forward again. This time, Sasuke saw movement beside him as Haku left his mirror flying toward Naruto. He instantly fired his fireball jutsu at him. Haku spun under it and threw a single Senbon which hit Sasuke in the shoulder. Then, Haku appeared in front of Naruto and spun, kicking him back to Sasuke. Damn, that fucker can move, Naruto groaned, standing. One more time, Sasuke ordered again. They both ran toward a gap and Haku readied a Senbon. Then, he blurred into movement, throwing Senbon after Senbon. Sasuke took several immediately, dropping him, then Naruto took several in the backs of his shoulders. At the same time as Naruto hit the ground, a scream rang out. That scream, Sasuke thought. That was Sakura. What's happening to her? Where's Kakashi? Sakura, Naruto groaned, pushing himself up. She's in trouble. I'm busting us out. You get to Sakura. I'll finish up here. You've exhausted my patience, Haku stated, drawing a Senbon. Naruto charged at one gap, channeling chakra to the bottoms of his feet to give himself a boost, and hurtled forward. Just as Haku appeared in front of him, throwing the Senbon, Naruto leapt into the air over the Senbon, then landed in a dead sprint toward a different gap. Haku began running along beside him just to taunt him before switching to a mirror behind him and hurling 4 Senbon. Naruto spun around just in time for the Senbon to embed themselves in his chest, stopping just short of his lungs but missing his heart. You will not escape my house of mirrors, period, Haku stated. Naruto! Sasuke shouted, running over. Are you okay? I'm fine, Naruto growled, pushing himself up onto one knee while Sasuke stood. He's blocking every move we make, Sasuke thought, standing. I've got to find a way to outmaneuver him. My eyes have adjusted to his movements. Looking for a counterattack? Haku questioned, appearing directly ahead of Sasuke. I'll save you the trouble. Haku drew his arm back, then disappeared and reappeared in the mirror beside that one, throwing several Senbon. Sasuke grabbed one from the ground, then blocked all but one, which embedded itself in his thigh. What? Haku gasped as Sasuke fell to his knee. Get up, loser, we've got to team up, Sasuke growled to Naruto. I'm aiming for his vital spots now, but now I can't get a direct hit. Haku thought. I know that. Naruto growled, pushing himself to his feet as Sasuke blocked more Senbon, then shoved Naruto out of the way of about 20, earning another in his thigh. He's fighting to protect his friend, that's why he's so determined, Haku thought. But it's more than luck. He can't see where the needles are coming from, can he? My movements are beyond human speed. And yet, he's tracking them, somehow. Whatever he's doing, I've got to stop him, now. Haku vanished and Sasuke began looking around for him. He vanished. Sasuke gasped. That's impossible. How can he just vanish? Naruto, you'd better get up. I can't keep protecting you like this. Well then don't, Naruto huffed. I never asked for your help. You need it though, Haku stated, appearing over them. You're very skilled. Your attacks are very impressive. Haku threw the Senbon and Sasuke dodged sideways out of the way. But you've both reached your limits, Haku stated, appearing beside Sasuke and throwing more Senbon at him. Sasuke managed to block 3, but one flew past him and hit Naruto in the chest. He instantly dropped, passing out. Motor functions, reflexes, judgment, Haku listed, appearing in one mirror after another, moving in a circle with 3 Senbon in each hand. Your abilities are weakening slowly but surely. Now you're finished. Here he comes, Sasuke thought. Stay focused. Concentrate. See everything. He watched carefully as Haku appeared in mirror after mirror before throwing his Senbon. Sasuke picked up Naruto and leapt into the air as 7 Senbon planted themselves in the ground where they had been. He saw every move, Haku thought. But there's no way he could do that. Sasuke dropped Naruto, partially hoping for the impact to wake him up. Then, he looked up at Haku, revealing his Sharingan, one with 1 Tomo, and the other with 2. That's impossible, Haku thought. Those eyes Sharingan. Yorso, he too has a Kekkei Genkai. Interesting. Even though it's not complete, to uncover such a power in the midst of a lethal attack is quite a feat. And because of that, I won't be able to fight much longer. My jutsu uses an incredible amount of chakra, but his movements also take chakra. The longer we fight, the more he'll use the Sharingan to perceive my movements. I can't beat him with a direct attack. I'll have to throw him off guard by attacking his partner. Haku left his mirror, blurring toward Naruto. Sasuke charged forward, arriving just in time to kick Haku away just as Haku drove several senbon into his abdomen. About a second later, Naruto began to stir, seeing Sasuke in front of him and Haku on the ground unconscious. You always get in the way, Naruto, Sasuke struggled to say. It never fails. Is it over? Naruto questioned, trying to push himself up but freezing when he saw the blood below Sasuke. You should see the look on your face. Sasuke grinned back at him. You look like a total loser. You saved me? Naruto blinked in surprise. Why? I don't know, I just did, Sasuke replied as memories played through his head. I hated you. Then why? Naruto questioned, standing. It doesn't make any sense. Why did you protect me? Sasuke only chuckled and Naruto growled in frustration. I didn't ask for this. Naruto shouted, curling his hands into fists. I didn't ask you to save me. I saw you in danger and my body reacted, Sasuke stated. There was no time to think. Loser. With that, Sasuke fell backward and Naruto barely caught him, the needles in Sasuke's back stabbing into his leg. Sasuke! Naruto gasped. He's still out there, Sasuke stated, voice shaky and weak. I swore I would kill him. Naruto, don't let your dream die. Then, Sasuke fell limp as Haku stood. He found a strength he never knew, Haku stated. To protect someone he cared for, he rushed in to save you, even though he knew it was a trap. He was a true ninja, worthy of honor. Is this the first time you've seen a friend die in battle? This is part of what it means to be a ninja. Haku stepped back into his mirror and vanished again. Shut up! Naruto growled, setting Sasuke down after lifting the needles out of his leg. I hated you too, Sasuke. And yet, steam began to rise and swirl around Naruto, rising out of the top of the House of Mirrors. You'll pay for this, Naruto stated. Then, the steam filled the House of Mirrors for a split second before clearing and revealing a column of blood-red chakra spiraling around Naruto and rising out of the House of Mirrors before fading. Naruto felt power flooding his body as the chakra began to spiral more and more violently, cutting channels into the ground. His canine teeth grew into fangs and his fingernails grew into claws. His eyes turned red with slit pupils and the whisker marks he had been born with grew thicker. I'm gonna kill you! Naruto growled. What is this chakra? Haku questioned as it grew higher and still more violent, curving into a dome rather than being a column. Then, the chakra came together directly above Naruto, forming the head of a giant demonic fox with glowing red eyes that growled at Haku. The needles all suddenly shot out of Naruto's body and his injuries healed. He's healing! Haku gasped. This boy, what is he? The chakra faded to a ring floating and spinning around Naruto, the change seeming complete. Then the chakra faded completely and Haku decided to act. I have to stop this now, Haku stated, hurling several senbon at Naruto. Naruto swiped and roared, sending out a pulse of chakra that knocked the senbon out of the air, then smashing several mirrors. Then, Naruto blurred forward, smashing the mirror Haku was in and delivering a devastating hook to Haku's mask at the same time. Haku flew away and bounced along the ground until coming to a stop, and pushing himself up as his mask fell away. Naruto darted forward, swinging again but stopping less than a second from hitting Haku again as he recognized Haku from a meeting in the woods. What happened? Haku questioned, noting Naruto had changed back. I thought you were going to kill me, Naruto growled in anger and smashed his fist into Haku's face, sending him flying back again, then standing and drawing a kunai. I am, Naruto sneered. Just my way. Before he could react, Haku suddenly created a mirror and stepped into it, disappearing, then stepping out of one between Kakashi and Zabuza just in time to intercept Kakashi's Chidori through the heart. Zabuza laughed, lifting his sword. I knew I had found a treasure in finding you, Haku, Zabuza laughed. You've given me not just my life but Kakashi's too. Kakashi threw himself back, taking Haku's body with him just before Zabuza's sword crashed down. Impressive, Kakashi, Zabuza commended. You're fast, even with a corpse in your arms. But now you die. No, you will, Naruto stated, landing beside Kakashi with a kunai in each hand. You want to play, kid? Zabuza questioned. Alright then, come on. Zabuza charged at Naruto, swinging his sword, but Naruto ducked under it, then stood slashing the arm that held the sword, severing the muscles. The sword began to spin away, but Zabuza caught it with his other arm just in time for Naruto to slash that arm as well. Zabuza's sword crashed to the ground and Naruto jumped back, grinning. Now what will you do? Naruto sneered. No arms, no jutsus or sword. Just then, several speedboats arrived and thugs began climbing onto the bridge before a short man with long, messy blonde hair, glasses, and an expensive suit stood behind his thugs. Gato? Naruto questioned. Yeah, Zabuza nodded. Leave Gato. This is my fight. By the look of it, you've lost, Gato stated. The brat's dead too, good. I didn't like that kid. I guess he was weak after all, huh? Zabuza leveled a death glare at Gato and Naruto grinned, sensing what Zabuza wanted to do. I've had about enough of you, Gato, Zabuza growled, using his teeth to remove the bandages from his face. Naruto picked up one of Sasuke's kunai from the ground and tossed it at him. Zabuza caught it in his mouth and nodded to Naruto. I'm going to kill you all once I deal with him, Zabuza stated. I'll be waiting, Naruto nodded. Zabuza grinned then dashed toward Gato. Stop him! Gato shouted as the thugs placed themselves in Zabuza's way. When Zabuza reached the thugs, he began spinning, slashing and stabbing the thugs with the kunai. After a couple of seconds, one of the thugs that he bypassed drove a sword into his back, but Zabuza continued. After about 3 minutes and 2 more vital wounds, Zabuza broke free of the thugs, dashing forward and driving the kunai into Gato's heart seconds before the thugs that were left drove spears and swords into his back, leaving no internal organs intact. Zabuza growled and stepped forward again, forcing Gato off of the bridge and making him fall to his death as he crashed down in one of the boats. Then, he turned to the rest of the thugs, kunai still clutched in his mouth. The remaining thugs all leapt off the bridge, splashing down safely in the water and fleeing. Zabuza finally dropped the kunai and fell forward. Naruto appeared beside him, catching him and removing the various weapons protruding from his back. Please lay me beside Haku, Zabuza requested. Alright, Naruto nodded. He lay Zabuza beside his student, then walked over to Kakashi as Zabuza said his last goodbyes. I think this mission's over, Naruto stated as Sakura sprinted over to Sasuke, then began shouting desperately and excitedly. What's she shouting about? Tazuna questioned, walking over. He's alive! Sakura shouted. Kakashi and Naruto exchanged a surprised look, then ran to help. Naruto walked into the Hokage's office and saw the relief instantly on Minato's face. His mother had met them at the entrance to the village, so he had already seen just how worried she could be, and now it was his father's turn. Kakashi reported the events of the mission, stating how impressed he was with Naruto's skill. After the report was finished, Minato dismissed everyone except Naruto, and they all left. Your mother is going to flip out when she finds out you fought Zabuza, Minato stated. No doubt, Naruto agreed. He was less of a threat to me than Haku was though. I'll bet, Minato nodded. You are not like other children, Naruto. You probably know what happened when Haku nearly killed Sasuke. The Nine-Tails chakra broke through the seal to give me the strength to continue the fight, weakening the seal in the process, Naruto guessed. I'll be fine though. You need to learn to fight better yourself so that you don't need to use that chakra until you can control the Nine-Tails, Minato stated. I believe it's time. Naruto's eyes widened and he grinned and nodded. First, however, you have to tell your mother about the mission, Minato stated. Alright, Naruto sighed. Where should we meet to train? The same training ground that you took the bell test in, Minato decided. Bring your kunai? Naruto nodded and left to tell his mother everything that had happened. She reacted as they had both expected, trying to lock Naruto in the house to protect him but relenting when she learned that Minato was going to teach him the teleportation jutsu. Get going then, Kushina sighed. Naruto nodded and left, heading to the training ground where Minato was waiting. He had set up several dummies and targets, and had his own kunai that matched Naruto's with him. There you are, Minato smiled. Alright, the first thing you should know about this jutsu is that it takes more chakra than most people think. It also costs more to take anything else with you. You will be able to use it with less chakra the better you get at it. Naruto nodded as Minato explained how to actually perform the jutsu. Another thing you need to be able to do is create the seal on any surface you touch, Minato stated. This is relatively easy and requires no hand seals. Minato demonstrated by placing a seal on a target simply by placing his hand on it. Naruto spent the first hour trying to learn to do that, but after an hour of failing, Minato decided that he should learn the jutsu first, then practice placing seals after. Minato summed up how to do the jutsu again, and then demonstrated, throwing a kunai to the ground beside one of the dummies, then moved to it, and rested his arm on the dummy's shoulder. Now you try, Minato stated. Naruto threw his own kunai, then followed his father's instructions to get to the seal and suddenly was over the kunai. However, he lost his balance and orientation and stumbled, falling to the ground. Minato laughed but helped him up and smiled. That was great, Minato stated. I expected you to have to try a few times to be able to do it. Now work on keeping your balance. Naruto nodded and threw another kunai, then teleported to it. He stayed on his feet a bit longer but then fell. He stood and tried again. After about a half hour, he was able to do it without losing his balance. Good, Minato smiled. Now, there is a range limit to this jutsu. For me it's about a mile, so for you, it will likely be a few hundred feet. It will increase as you improve at using it. Naruto nodded and continued to practice using the jutsu. Minato was shocked at how fast he picked it up but smiled. After a while, Naruto practiced attacking as he arrived at his new spot. After a few hours, he was low on chakra, so he instead practiced placing seals. After another 2 hours, he was able to place the seals relatively easily. Good, Minato sighed finally, as it grew dark. How about we go get something to eat? Tomorrow I'll teach you to change your chakra nature and form. Naruto smiled and nodded, and they headed back home just as Kushina finished setting the table. There you are, Kushina smiled. How'd it go? Naruto sighed and adopted a depressed face. I failed miserably, Naruto moped, walking past his chair and placing a seal on it as he did. That jutsu's hard. Kushina smiled sympathetically and nodded, and Naruto and Minato walked to the bathroom and washed their hands, then both grinned and teleported to their chairs, arriving at the same time just as Kushina was about to sit down. You liar! Kushina laughed. Well, at least you can avoid dying now. I'm also going to teach him the Rasengan, Minato stated. I think he'll do very well at it. Kushina nodded and they ate as Minato and Kushina talked about how their days went. When they were done, Naruto went to bed so that he would be rested for training the next day. Naruto sat on top of the post as Minato rummaged through his things for the paper that would somehow tell them what chakra nature Naruto had. Kakashi, who had been released from the hospital, finally sighed and pulled out 3 pieces, handing one to Naruto and the other to Minato, and Minato just rubbed the back of his head as Naruto sometimes did and thanked him. Alright, Minato began. All you have to do is channel your chakra into it. If you have lightning type, it will crumble. If you have earth type, it will crumble. Fire type will make it burn. Water will make it get wet. And wind type will make it split in half. Kakashi and Minato demonstrated, Kakashi's crumpling and Minato's splitting down the middle. Naruto channeled his own in and it also split. Minato smiled and took the pieces of paper. Good, Minato smiled. Now create a few clones so that you can learn Rasengan. Kakashi can teach you change of chakra form, and the other can train with the teleportation jutsu. Naruto created 2 clones and Kakashi walked away with one as the other threw one kunai, then stuck another at his feet and began to teleport between the 2 seals, moving the one he teleported to further away each time to test his range. After about 30 minutes, he reached his max at just under half a mile. He released his jutsu and disappeared. Alright, Minato applauded as Naruto managed to break the rubber ball Minato had given him. Now you need to keep it contained. Then you can make it this. Minato held his hand out and formed a Rasengan in it the size of his head. Eventually you'll learn to make them bigger too, but for now, just stick with trying to make one. When complete, they should do this, Minato stated, turning toward a tree as it shrunk to a small ball, then smashed it into a tree. It didn't explode as Kushina had always said it did, but left a small crater with a spiral track around the outside. Naruto nodded and tried to form one of his own. After a moment, it looked about the same as Minato's had, but when he smashed it into the tree, it exploded and left 2 craters, one inside the other. It also burned Naruto's hand and he groaned and shook his hand. That was close, Minato sighed. Keep trying. Just then, Kakashi told Naruto's other clone to release its jutsu since he had taught it all he could for the time being. I think we should try to teach Naruto to fight and have him practice the Rasengan later, Kakashi suggested, walking over. Clone brawl style. Alright, how? Minato nodded. We create clones and he tries to kill as many as possible before being overwhelmed, Kakashi suggested. I'll use clones too, Naruto suggested. That way you don't need to hold back. But no teleporting, Dad. Minato grinned and nodded, and he and Kakashi created 50 clones each and Naruto created 1. The clones surrounded Naruto's clone and then began attacking him. Naruto's clone instantly leapt over them, creating a Rasengan as best he could and blasting a group of clones with it to clear a landing spot, then began spinning into action, fighting the clones that were attacking him with everything from kunai to swords, to arrows, to bows and arrows. He avoided the projectiles and began to destroy clones, taking the weapons they dropped. He took a pair of kunai after a moment, and began destroying clones left and right. After killing about 20, however, a Kakashi drove a sword through its heart. The clone disappeared and Kakashi and Minato replenished their own clone count. Naruto created another clone and this time Minato and Kakashi gave him some room. They began to rush forward, a massive line of clones, and Naruto's clone rushed to meet them. He kicked a Kakashi clone, sending it crashing through the clones, and chased it, avoiding and redirecting attacks every now and then. Finally he reached an area where a large number of clones had disappeared, allowing him a wide circle to fight in. Clones began to rush at him a few at a time, and he fought the same way the last clone had, this time taking a sword and fighting with it mostly by avoiding Kakashi and Minato's attacks, then eliminating them. Minato and Kakashi shared a surprised look at his potential with a sword, then created another 100 clones each, which joined the rest of the clones and surged toward Naruto's clone. The clone's sword suddenly broke, the blade spinning into the air. The clone drove the hilt with the remaining inch of the blade into one of Kakashi's clone's hearts, then leapt into the air, kicking the blade at one of Minato's clones, and killing it, then flipping over and creating a Rasengan as a Minato below him created the same thing. The 2 Rasengans collided before exploding and destroying every clone. Naruto wiped his forehead and Minato and Kakashi both bent forward, panting at the amount of chakra the shadow clone jutsu took. Want to get lunch? Naruto suggested. Minato nodded, then grinned at Naruto. Where did you learn to use a sword? Minato questioned. Naruto shrugged and Minato and Kakashi laughed. They left to get something to eat, Minato and Kakashi silently agreeing to teach Naruto to use a sword, then returned to the training ground to continue his training. Alright Naruto, Minato sighed, not particularly excited about making more clones. We're going to continue, but this time, your clone is going to have a sword to use until he is destroyed. Here, Minato tossed Naruto a katana and Naruto caught it, then created his clone who had its own sword. If your clone's sword breaks, he can take a weapon from our clones, Minato stated. Shall we, Kakashi? Kakashi nodded and they both created 100 clones who instantly charged at Naruto's clone. Naruto's clone did the same and began tearing into Minato and Kakashi's clones, struggling to find room to fight and having to block several attacks at once the entire time. Finally he created a Rasengan and smashed it into a Kakashi clone, destroying about 15 clones and clearing a space. The rest of the clones charged and Naruto began avoiding and blocking attacks while killing clones. A Kakashi threw a kunai just past Naruto with a paper bomb and Naruto leapt away from it, creating another Rasengan and obliterating a group of clones that had moved to catch him with their swords. Minato realized that Naruto's Rasengans were now nearly perfect and a couple of his clones created Rasengans as several Kakashi and Minato clones charged forward with swords, distracting Naruto from the Minatos with Rasengans. Naruto's clone destroyed several of the Kakashi and Minato clones, but the last blocked his attack and broke his sword and Naruto's clone stepped out of the way of the other clone's blade then drove the hilt of his own into the clone's abdomen, taking the sword then turning in time to move his head sideways out of the way of a Rasengan. He slashed the clone then leapt as two Minatos passed below him twisting and slamming their Rasengans together. Naruto's clone channeled chakra to his feet then kicked off of his sword blade, leaping up into the air as the two Rasengans exploded launching his sword up to him. Naruto's clone caught it then looked down as the other four Minatos with Rasengan all leapt at him, Rasengans held out in front. Naruto rolled in midair, angling his body past them and shot back to the ground, landing in a roll and standing just as three Minatos crashed down around him, their Rasengan going off and destroying Naruto's clone and all three of them, leaving about 13 clones standing. Wow, Minato said voicing his and Kakashi's shock at Naruto's clone's skill. Who taught you to fight again? Itachi, Naruto stated. He had me doing something similar to this except his was a genjutsu, and when we did actually fight, his clones all had their Sharingan active. Explains how he got so good, Kakashi stated. If he can keep up with Itachi's Sharingan, let's try this. Kakashi's clones all pulled their forehead protectors up and Kakashi created 5 more who did the same. Minato made enough clones to match Kakashi's and they all formed 2 Rasengans each. Naruto created another clone then grinned and made a second. One clone drew his sword and the other formed 2 of his own Rasengans. This isn't going to end with an intact field, Kakashi commented. I'll have it repaired, Minato promised. Now shall we? Kakashi nodded and charged forward and Naruto's 2 clones did the same. Then Naruto with the sword dropped holding his feet up and the other landed on his feet then both pushed off launching the one with the Rasengans into the air. The Kakashis all followed but the Minatos charged the one with the sword. This time, however, the Naruto with the sword evaded all of the Minatos, slashing on then leaping away as his 2 Rasengans exploded, destroying the other Minatos and making their Rasengans explode too. The Kakashis quickly destroyed the other clones but 2 of them were destroyed by the Rasengans in the process. The rest landed on the ground, drawing kunai and charged at the last Naruto clone. Naruto began to fight them but there were more of them than Itachi had ever used so after a few minutes, he was destroyed too, having not taken any Kakashis with him. Impressive, Minato sighed, about ready to pass out. Kakashi will teach you to use wind-style jutsus. Why me? Kakashi questioned, not having much more chakra than Minato. You've got the Sharingan, Minato stated. And more chakra. Barely. Kakashi complained. Alright, come on Naruto. I'll teach you a few basic ones. Danzo stepped into the massive cavern and looked up at the towering, ominous statue on the far wall then looked sideways at his 2 escorts. The blonde that had found him, while the rest of his missing Nin team fought shoved him forward roughly, and the other snickered and walked forward to the left hand and jumped onto the index finger while the blonde leapt onto the right one. One by one, multicolored holograms of the other mysterious members of the group appeared on the other fingers leaving only the left little finger empty. I ordered you not to summon us unless you had important news, one of them, a man with spiky hair and silver eyes with a ripple design growled. Unless this man is a target, or has a large enough bounty on his head to end our attempt at raising funds, you are wasting time. Is order, the one with gray hair slicked back grinned, no, yes, and no we're not. That much of a bounty, huh? The only female silhouette questioned. Who is he? He was a Konohagakure elder, the blonde replied. The crazy bastard was hiring missing Nin to stage a coup d'etat. We hopped on and decided to see how it would go. His plan went sideways though, when the damn Hokage refused to wipe out the Uchiha. Anyway, my clay clone got beat and Hayden got himself decapitated. We dug him back up and Danzo proved himself extremely proficient in medical jutsus, being able to reattach it. Figured he'd make a good recruit. He failed and you decided he would make a good recruit? The first silhouette questioned. Don't you think we have enough failures? We have you, after all. A couple chuckled but the woman, the one speaking, and the blonde all stayed silent and with seconds the others were silent too. You have been nothing but disappointing Deidara, the hologram stated, his voice flat but somehow dripping malice and rage. You bring in next to no money. You bring in no information regarding Jinchuriki ever. And now you bring in a fool of a village elder who lost a coup to a half-dozen jonin at most. You are a failure Deidara. Told you he wouldn't be happy, Hayden sneered. You are no better Hayden, the female snapped. You are constantly attacking and trying to kill you partners, Deidara being the 5th that we will be separating you from for their safety. You have both failed miserably in your missions. Hayden, if we knew how to kill you, you would be dead. Deidara, we would kill you, but you are still good at incapacitating targets. Hayden, report to Kakuzu, he will be your new partner. Sasori, I'm afraid you will have to work with Deidara, maybe then he will get something done. What about Danzo? Deidara questioned, knowing that they might as well know whether or not to turn him in. For now, Kisame is going to meet up with you and test him, the first hologram stated. Should he deem Danzo worthy, Danzo will be accepted into our ranks as Orochimaru's replacement. If not, he will be returned to Konoha by one of our less popular members for the bounty. As a reminder, each of you should be searching for any possible recruits. I have a complaint, Deidara spoke up suddenly. Why is it that all of us have to cringe in fear at our lack of progress while Conan never has to report? I mean really. She's a cold bitch, and she never has to. The first hologram made the seal of confrontation, and Deidara's entire body lit up red as the hologram's ripple designs began moving outward while new ones began to spread from his pupils. Deidara's scream of agony spread through the cavern, making everyone except Danzo, Conan, and their leader. After nearly a minute, the hologram ended the jutsu and Deidara fell to his hands and knees on his finger, panting for air. The reason that Conan does not need to report is because she is with me, the hologram growled. She doesn't report because she does exactly what I tell her to as I tell her to do it. Something you could learn to do, and with that, both he and Conan's holograms were gone. Alright then, Kisame, a tall man with gills below his eyes and a massive sword on his back. I'll see you guys soon. He disappeared and Kakuzu told Haiden to hurry up. Sasori promised to be there quickly, then the rest of the holograms vanished and Danzo sighed. With I had brought my sword, Danzo sighed. A sword won't help against him, Haiden promised. He's going to tear you apart. An hour later, Kisame and Sasori arrived and Haiden loaned Danzo his scythe. Kisame charged forward, swinging a fist, and Danzo stuck the scythe into the ground and leaned out of the way of the punch, then dropped to the ground, planting his foot in Kisame's chest and sending him flying backward. Danzo picked the scythe up, resting it on his shoulder with the blades hanging down, and Kisame drew his sword. They both charged again, and this time, their blades met with a loud clang before Danzo's side blade slipped down Kisame's blade and Kisame planted a knee to his face, smashing him back. Danzo took the scythe with him, and the scythe took the wrapping that Kisame kept on his sword. Impressive, Danzo grinned, eyeing the sword. Thank you, Kisame smiled, hefting his 8-foot-long sword with a blade made out of scales and a small skull pommel. It absorbs chakra from enemies and transfers it to me. I am known as the tailed beast. I don't give even half a shit, Danzo sneered, sticking the scythe into the ground and making hand seals. Wind style, vacuum bomb. He blew a massive blast of wind out at Kisame, who simply swung his sword and absorbed the entire attack. His sword grew until it was as broad as he was tall, and he grinned. Danzo instantly began making more hand seals and instantly fired a barrage of the same attack at Kisame. Kisame absorbed all 20, then lifted his sword that was now quivering and massive. Kisame seemed to have a bit of trouble holding it up and moving it, but when Danzo sent a second barrage, Kisame absorbed them all as well. Then Kisame growled in frustration and channeled all of the chakra from his sword into him before doubling over, coughing up blood and gasping for air. What did you do to me? Kisame gasped. Everyone has a limit to the amount of chakra they can hold, Danzo stated. I knew that your body was used to having a massive amount of chakra in it, so I pumped enough to kill 30 jonin into you. Then, I placed a seal in the chakra itself that is rejecting your chakra. In a little more than a minute you'll be dead. Unless you concede. And just so you're aware, I control the seal mentally. If I wish it to reactivate at any given time, it will. I give! Kisame shouted. Deactivate the seal. Release! Danzo said, making the seal of confrontation, and Kisame stood glaring at him. Welcome to the Akatsuki, partner, Kisame sneered, holding his hand out. Thank you, Danzo grinned. Haiden, catch. Danzo tossed him his scythe and Haiden nodded, then left just as Sasori arrived. Did I miss the big brawl? Sasori questioned. No brawl, Deidara stated. Danzo put a seal inside Kisame and made him puke blood. Something like that, Danzo stated. Naruto knelt under the tree, Sasuke and Sakura beside him. They were doing what no other village had the guts to let their genin do one mission out of the academy. They were taking the Chunin exams. Naruto grinned, thinking about how he got signed up for it in the first place. I would like to recommend my entire team for the exam, Kakashi spoke up, surprising everyone. I'll second that, Minato agreed. They may be young but they're ready. I'll put my team in too, Kurinai stated. Me too, Asuma added. They can handle anything Kakashi's kids can throw at them. I think my son will be the one to get furthest, Minato grinned. Now you are all dismissed. 3 days later, Naruto found himself sitting at a desk with Sasuke and Sakura and with several clones breaking into his father's personal library. Within 5 minutes all of his questions were answered and his clones had left, leaving no trace of ever being there. The others had had a hard time with their questions except a select few who had a special jutsu that allowed them to get answers from the Chunin that were placed among them. After a while, the ninja behind Naruto was eliminated along with his team, and the instructor suggested that anyone else that didn't think they would pass leave, and several did. Then, the rest passed. A day later, Phase 2 began and they were sent into the Forest of Death with either an Earth or Heaven scroll and were told to retrieve the other kind from another team, by any means necessary, including death. What kind of scroll do we have again? Naruto questioned. Heaven, Sasuke stated. Wonder where the nearest Earth scroll is. Let's go find out, Sakura suggested. I have to take a leak first, Naruto stated before walking into the bushes. Sakura sat down to wait, and Sasuke glanced at her for a moment before leaning against a tree. After a couple minutes, Naruto walked back out, sighing in relief. I didn't realize I needed to go that bad, Naruto sighed. Alright, let's get. Before he could finish, Sasuke smashed his foot into his face, sending him flying. When Naruto landed, he wiped some blood from the side of his mouth and drew the kunai from the kunai pouch on his left leg. What was that, Sasuke? Sakura questioned. Yes, Sasuke, what the hell? Naruto questioned. First, Naruto's right-handed, not left, Sasuke snarled. His kunai pouch is on his right leg. Second, Naruto's kunai aren't the standard variety. They look like this. He held up the one Naruto had told him to hold on to, and Naruto suddenly appeared beside him, wire wrapped around him so tightly it was digging into his skin in some places. Sasuke cut him free and Naruto took the kunai, glaring at the imposter. The little fucker caught me while I was taking a leak, Naruto growled. I'll handle this. Will you? The fake Naruto questioned as smoke covered him. When it cleared, there was an Amigakure ninja standing before them with a tan bodysuit, a breathing mask, a white cloth over his eyes with eye holes cut out, and spiky brown hair. Name's Oboro, the ninja smirked. Catch, Oboro, Naruto said, throwing his kunai at him. Oboro leaned out of the way, but just as it was passing his head, Naruto appeared in front of him, his fist smashing into Oboro's stomach as Naruto caught his kunai. Oboro flew backward, flipping over and doing a backward handspring and disappearing into the trees. I tagged him, Naruto stated. We'll give him a couple hours, then we'll go get our scroll. Sounds good, Sasuke grinned. How did you do that? Sakura questioned. I'm good, Naruto grinned before tossing her the kunai and handing Sasuke another. Hold on to these for me. They nodded and began walking while Sasuke tried to think of a way to avoid imposters again. My dad taught me a seal, Naruto stated. It only appears visible if you channel chakra to it, and it doesn't really do anything except look like a tattoo. We could use it to avoid imposters. Great idea, Sasuke muttered. If only you were stupid. Then we could have a massively difficult password. Here, Naruto said, setting his hand on the side of Sasuke's neck for a moment, and placing the seal, then doing the same for Sakura. He placed his own seal on the palm of his hand. Now, let's go find a second way to get our scroll before we go after our dear friend Oboro, Naruto smirked. Just as he said this, the birds, which had somehow been brave enough to venture into the forest and sing, went silent and a low roar began to sound from further into the trees. What is that? Sasuke questioned. Not good, Naruto stated. Suddenly, above gale force winds began to explode out of the trees, tearing them up and hurling them. The winds hit Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura, and Sasuke grabbed Sakura and threw them both out of the path of the wind while Naruto was blown backward by the jutsu. He plowed up almost a quarter mile of land before finally stopping and the winds died down. He pushed himself up just as a massive snake as big around as the Hokage's office was slithered out of the trees staring at him. Ugly piece of shit, Naruto snorted. You think I'm lunch, don't you? Just as it lunged forward, Naruto teleported to Sasuke, arriving in time to grab the scroll before he could throw it to a shinobi who was wrapped around a branch like a snake. What the hell do you think you're doing? Naruto questioned, taking his kunai from Sasuke. We can't fight him, Sasuke stated. We'll see, Naruto grinned as hundreds of teleportation seals spread from his feet, covering the surrounding trees and leaves. I'll handle this, scaredy cat. The grass ninja looked around then at Naruto and grinned. So, it's the fourth Hokage's brat, is it? The ninja questioned. Allow me to introduce myself. Orochimaru. I've heard of you, Naruto stated. One of the 3 legendary Sannin of the Hidden Leaf. You deserted because they stopped you from performing monstrous tests to try to unlock immortality. You wanted to learn every jutsu, so you tried to sacrifice others to gain immortality. You're a monster. I'm honored to be so well known by someone so young, Orochimaru hissed. Shall we begin? I already did, Naruto stated. Suddenly on the underside of the branch Orochimaru was standing on. Impossible, Orochimaru thought. I didn't even see him move. Don't tell me he actually learned his father's jutsu. Rasengan! Naruto shouted, slamming his Rasengan into Orochimaru's stomach after appearing in front of him. Orochimaru flew away from the explosion, crashing through 3 trees, then crashing to the ground. So that's it, Orochimaru growled. That was almost perfect. Just too weak. Naruto summoned his training sword, then created 2 clones. Both formed a Rasengan in their left hands and drew their swords, then leapt at Orochimaru. Multiple striking shadow snakes. Orochimaru shouted, holding his arm out. A dozen dark brown snakes shot out of his sleeve at the Naruto clones. The 2 spun, removing the snakes' heads as dozens more shot out of Orochimaru's sleeve, then other sleeve as well. This time, most of the snakes restrained the 2 clones, and one of them blasted them with the Rasengan, and Naruto's other clone fell toward Orochimaru. A single snake shot out of his sleeve and the clone shoved the Rasengan down its throat, then released his jutsu. Orochimaru tore the snake off just as the Rasengan exploded and sent him flying again. This time, when he stood, he glared at Naruto. Impressive brat, Orochimaru growled. But now it's my turn. He pulled his left sleeve up and wiped some blood from the corner of his mouth, wiping it across the tattoo on his left wrist. Summoning jutsu. Orochimaru shouted, summoning the same massive snake that had tried to eat Naruto. Kill him, gladly, Naruto said, creating a perfect Rasengan and leaping at the snake. The snake shot forward and swallowed Naruto, but after a moment, his stomach expanded and continued to grow until the snake finally exploded and Orochimaru stared in shock as Naruto leapt at him. Naruto's eyes were red with slit pupils and he had grown claws. And he in no sense of the word was playing around anymore. Orochimaru moved to retreat, but Naruto teleported to a seal in front of him and slashed at him with his claws. Orochimaru managed to avoid it just as a sword planted itself in his chest, tacking him to the branch he was on. Orochimaru suddenly melted into a pile of mud and the real one appeared behind one Naruto and another clone behind the other. Both restrained their Naruto with snakes from their sleeves, then made a hand seal and held their other hand by their side as purple flames appeared on their fingertips. Five-pronged seal, they both said as they drove their hand into his abdomen, adding a second layer to the seal, keeping Kurama inside of Naruto. Both Narutos passed out and the one the clone had restrained blacked out as Orochimaru threw the other away. Sakura tacked him to a tree with his kunai to stop him from falling. Naruto stirred for a moment, seeing Orochimaru moving towards Sasuke. If you won't fight, then run, you coward, Naruto called out to him before passing out again. Sad but true, Orochimaru smiled. The Uchiha is weaker than the outcast. Sasuke's eyes widened as his own voice played through his mind, declaring his dream to surpass his brother. Itachi would tear Orochimaru apart. Sasuke knew he had to stop him, even if to protect his friends. Fine then, Sasuke muttered, activating his Sharingan, now with both eyes sporting two tomo. Bring it on. Sasuke placed a kunai in his mouth, biting down on the blade and sprinted forward. Orochimaru grinned and readied himself. He sent out a blast of wind to send Sasuke flying, but Sasuke leapt over it, hurling kunai at Orochimaru. Orochimaru leaned out of the way, allowing them to sail past, and Sasuke landed on a tree, then leapt at Orochimaru, beginning with 2 kicks before flipping over Orochimaru and landing on his feet. They both charged and began to fight in a near blur. Attack after attack, they tried to slip past each other's defenses, always falling short of their goal. Finally, Orochimaru flipped over him, landing behind him, then blurring into motion and vanishing. Sasuke whipped his head around, but Orochimaru was already gone. He looked around and saw him zipping through the trees, almost too fast to see, but not quite. Orochimaru suddenly leapt at Sasuke and Sasuke dove out of the way, then fired a fireball jutsu at him. The result was a column of spiraling raging flames, but after a moment, it went out from a massive blast of wind, and before the smoke had even cleared, Orochimaru shot towards Sasuke inside the tree, destroying it in a tree, then emerging just in time to swipe at Sasuke, but Sasuke leapt back, taking a steadying breath. After a moment of them waiting for the other to act, Orochimaru sent a blast of wind at Sasuke again, but Sasuke leapt to a branch over them, then off of it, and past Orochimaru, wrapping his legs around Orochimaru's chest and his arms around his waist, then flipping over and driving Orochimaru downward head first. Orochimaru's head split the branch, sending cracked spiderwebbing along the length of it. Orochimaru's arms spasmed for several seconds before falling limp. Sasuke leapt away from Orochimaru, and his legs fell at the knees. Then, Orochimaru turned into mud and kunai began raining out of the trees at Sasuke. He flipped off of the branch and spread some wire, catching himself on a branch and spinning around the tree, landing on another branch and looking around. A second later, Orochimaru appeared running toward him and throwing a punch to his face. Sasuke stumbled back, but just as he began to steady himself, another punch hit his face, then a knee, then another punch. Sasuke finally flew backward and landed in a heap, and Orochimaru smirked. What a disappointment you turned out to be, Orochimaru sighed. Your ancestors weep. The Uchiha should thank me for killing you. Silly little worm. Sasuke opened his eyes just as 3 tiny but powerful explosives he had planted on Orochimaru's clothes exploded, making him stumble forward. Sasuke instantly jumped up, flipping past Orochimaru as Orochimaru fell. Sasuke threw several shuriken tied together with wire past Orochimaru, holding the wire in his hands and between his teeth. The shuriken wrapped around Orochimaru and a tree, binding him in place, and Sasuke grinned, releasing the wires from his hands, holding it tight only with the one in his mouth. Fire style, dragon flame jutsu. Sasuke thought, making the hand seals, then sending the flame along the wire in his mouth. The flame hit Orochimaru and instantly exploded out the far side of the tree. Orochimaru screamed in agony as he burned, and Sasuke watched carefully. Finally, the fire died and Orochimaru's head fell forward, the massive hole in the tree still smoking. Sakura ran over as Sasuke bent forward, energy depleted. Are you okay? Sakura questioned. It's alright, it's all over. Suddenly, Orochimaru began to walk forward, breaking the wires easily. He made a hand seal, and suddenly Sakura and Sasuke couldn't control their bodies. Sakura fell to her knees and Sasuke was only barely resisting the same. No, Sasuke growled. It's impossible. Such mastery of the Sharingan, at so young an age, Orochimaru commented, voice changing from a girl's to a man's partway through. The side of his face was burned off, revealing pale white skin with a purple pigmentation around his eye, the eye itself being yellow with a slit pupil. You're a true Uchiha after all, Orochimaru sneered, covering the sign on his headband then removing it to reveal a sound note. Yes, you'll do nicely. Sasuke struggled to move but couldn't, and Orochimaru grinned at his determination. You are definitely his brother, Orochimaru sneered. If anything, your eyes are even keener than Itachi's. How do you know Itachi? Sasuke snapped. I've fought him before, Orochimaru stated. He is a very dangerous individual. What do you want? Sasuke shouted. Orochimaru laughed, pulling out their heaven scroll and holding it out, then said, that will have to wait until we meet again. Which won't happen until you finish this test with the best score of all. Suddenly, green flames began to burn their way out from the scroll. The scroll! Sakura gasped. First you'll have to defeat the hidden sound ninja that served me, Orochimaru sneered. I have no idea what you're talking about, Sakura shouted. But if you've finished, why don't you just beat it? If we never meet again it'll be too soon. Oh, he and I will meet again, Orochimaru promised before making a hand seal similar to tiger but with the middle fingers crossed across the index fingers. His head suddenly shot into the air, his neck stretching as his head shot over to Sasuke and bit him, placing a seal where he bit him. Then, his head returned to his body as Sasuke began to struggling to breath, holding his hand over the seal. What did you do to Sasuke? Sakura shouted. I just gave him a little parting gift, Orochimaru hissed. Very soon, Sasuke will seek me out and desire my power. In the meantime, I enjoyed the demonstration of the powers you already possess. He then sank into the tree laughing. Then, he was gone, and Sasuke finally passed out. Naruto! Sasuke shouted, hoping he would wake up. Sasuke's hurt. I need you. After a moment, Sakura carefully carried Sasuke down the tree to the ground where the roots held the tree itself in the air a bit with a gap that they could stay in for protection. Then, she retrieved Naruto and lay him beside Sasuke, sitting beside them with her kunai. Naruto opened his eyes and looked around, seeing Sasuke and Sakura a distance away and Choji and Shikamaru sitting beside him trying to wake him up. Finally, Choji smirked. You missed it. Sasuke beat the shit out of some team from the Hidden Sound Village. Naruto rolled his eyes, pushing himself to his feet, and walked over to Sasuke and Sakura. You guys beat the Sound Ninja team? Naruto questioned. Yes, Sasuke stated. They gave us their scroll to keep their lives, but Orochimaru burned ours, so we still need a heaven scroll now. I see, Naruto sighed. I assume they all have Earth scrolls. Both actually, Sakura stated. But as thanks for saving us, we're letting them keep them. Alright, Naruto sighed. Then let's go find the tower. Eventually we'll find a team, and if not, we can wait there for one. We could teleport to those AIM ninja, Sasuke suggested. No, remember, they were trying to get our heaven scroll, Naruto reminded him. So they have an Earth scroll, Sakura finished. Alright. Maybe we'll meet one of the other teams that are trying to get there to finish. Then we can take theirs. Naruto nodded, then teleported to his kunai, which were still stuck in the tree above, then returned to Sakura and Sasuke, and they left the other teams to try to reach the tower. So, how long were we out? Naruto questioned. Days, Sakura stated. There's about 24 hours left until the end of the exam. There probably aren't that many teams left. Great, Naruto groaned. Hey, is it true that you're the fourth Hokage's son? Sakura questioned. Yes, Naruto stated. Why did you never say that? Sakura questioned. 2 reasons, Naruto stated. First, you never asked. Second, I don't want to be judged by who my family is. I want to be judged by who I am. Oh, Sakura stated. I wouldn't have. Naruto said, suddenly holding up a hand. You hear that? They listened and faintly heard a scream in the distance. They rushed toward it and found a Leaf Village ninja beside his unconscious team trying to wake them up while Kabuto watched from beside them. Shame they opened them, Kabuto sighed. The hypnosis seal knocked them out, and you failed. Which do you have? Naruto questioned. Both, Kabuto smiled, holding them up. I was separated from my team, so I'm going to the tower to wait for them. Why? We need a heaven scroll, Sasuke stated, drawing a kunai. Wait, Naruto said, catching his arm. For one, let's not attack someone we know so little about. Remember Haku? And second, why don't we stick to our original plan and wait at the tower for another team? You'll help us with that, right, Kabuto? Sure, Kabuto smiled. Shall we? Naruto nodded, and they continued toward the tower, allowing Kabuto to lead as he was the best at tracking and telling direction. After about 5 hours, they reached a place where they were able to see the tower, and Kabuto took a moment to gauge how far away it was. Just as they were about to continue, a massive centipede appeared beside Sakura, and Naruto tacked it to a tree with his kunai. I'll retrieve it later, Naruto stated. Shall we? They continued on their walk for several hours. Finally, when the moon was already high in the sky, they stopped to catch their breath, no closer to the tower than they had been the last time they stopped. Naruto realized how when he looked sideways. No fucking way. Naruto groaned. Please tell me that's not the giant centipede I killed. They all looked and groaned. It's your kunai, Sasuke sighed. Genjutsu, Kabuto groaned. That explains a lot. Naruto teleported to his kunai, then jumped back to the others and sighed. They want to attack us while we're tired and frustrated, Kabuto guessed. Like we are right now, Sasuke finished. Exactly, Kabuto sighed. They'll be here soon. Just then, black sludge began to rise around them on every surface. The sludge moved to the ground and formed clones of an AIM ninja with spiky brown hair, a black bodysuit, a cloth covering both eyes, a breathing mask, and each holding a kunai. Hey, it's our buddy! Naruto laughed. You suppose they have a heaven scroll? Definitely, Sasuke smirked. I'll start this. Before he could attack, one of the clones hurled a double-bladed kunai at Kabuto. Kabuto managed to dodge it, but it cut his arm and stuck into his arm. The clones are a genjutsu, but the weapon is real, Sasuke said in confusion. Where are they? Let's find out, Naruto grinned, running forward and kicking a clone, splitting it in half, then rolling under a second. Both halves of the first grew into a complete clone and Naruto grinned. Wish mine did that, Naruto stated before jumping and teleporting to the seal on Oboro. He appeared behind Oboro in the trees and punched him again, sending him crashing into a tree, then caught him and teleported back to a kunai he had left with the others. Now you guys will listen, Naruto shouted to the other members of Oboro's team. Either you come out, or Oboro dies. He's bluffing, Oboro shouted. Kill him, Naruto held his hand up, forming a Rasengan, and then leveled it beside Oboro's head. He dies in 3, 2, 1, Naruto counted down, waiting for a response. Alright, Ras, stop. Another AIM ninja shouted as he and the clones were of landed a few feet away. Don't hurt him. The third team member was dressed similar to his teammates with the tan bodysuit and breathing mask, but with one eye hole cut out of the rag over his eyes and with his forehead protector covering his entire head. How many scrolls do you have? Naruto questioned. 6. The ninja said. We plan to have the other teams all fail. Here, take them. Sasuke retrieved the scrolls, then returned to the others, burning all but one of each. Then he turned to the other ninja and grinned. I'll take yours too, Sasuke grinned. I don't have any, the ninja swore. Mubi had them all. 3, 2, Naruto began to count again, and the ninja shouted in frustration, throwing another heaven and earth scroll to them. Sasuke burned them too, and Naruto grinned and let his Rasengan disappear. Then, he smashed his elbow into Oboro's neck, knocking him out. Mubi and his teammate both turned to run, but Sasuke caught Mubi and Kabuto the other. They both knocked their captives out, and they tied them to a tree. That went well, Naruto smiled. Shall we? They continued toward the tower, finally arriving to find Kiba, Hinata, and another Leaf Village ninja they had never seen before waiting at the door. Nothing personal, guys, Kiba sighed. But you'll have to give us those scrolls. Try and take them, Sasuke dared, activating his Sharingan. Kiba charged at him and threw a punch while Sasuke did the same, but Naruto caught both of their fists and twisted until both boys were on their knees begging him to stop. We're not fighting each other, Naruto stated firmly. Sasuke, give them the extra earth scroll. But, now. Naruto growled, twisting harder. Sasuke, shouting in pain, then pulled the scroll out and threw it to Hinata. She caught it and put it in a bag with 2 heaven scrolls, and Naruto released Kiba and Sasuke. What the hell's your problem? Kiba growled. Simple, Naruto stated. Me and Sasuke had to fight a fucking Sannin. I don't feel like watching Sasuke kill you. I'd tear him apart, Kiba stated. He'd massacre you, Naruto stated. Can we go into the tower now? Sure, Sasuke sighed. They all walked into the tower and handed in their scrolls, then sat to wait. Naruto leaned on the railing and looked down at the ring. They had been told that too many had passed the second test, so they would hold preliminaries before the final phase. It was a tournament. Naruto grinned and looked across the room just in time to see Hinata look away. His mind drifted back to the proctor telling them about the preliminaries. Attention, the proctor, Hate Gecko, shouted over everyone's talking. Thank you. Now, the preliminaries will be a tournament. It will be one-on-one combat, ending when one side surrenders or is unable to continue. If anyone feels unable to continue, speak up now. After a couple of seconds, Sasuke clamped his teeth shut and held his hand over his new seal. Naruto gave him a worried look and Sakura begged him to drop out, but everyone fell silent when Kabuto raised his hand. Okay, you got me, Kabuto smiled. I'm all used up. I'll try again next year. Alright, Hate nodded before coughing. You can leave. Now, as there are 20 remaining, there will be 10 matches. As I said, the fights continue until one side dies or concedes defeat, or are rendered unable to continue. As proctor, I am allowed a certain amount of leeway judging the matches. If the fight seems hopeless, I may step in. I urge anyone who is losing to concede quickly to avoid a fatal outcome. Now, please move to the balcony so we can begin. The balcony was a raised platform around 3 sides of the room. The fourth wall was across from the exit and was dominated by a statue of a pair of arms with the hands forming the ram hand seal with 5 wooden panels in the wall behind it, 2 near each corner with one massive one in the middle directly behind the statue. The top left panel was now open, displaying a screen that would read out the opponents for each fight at random. The name on it now was Sasuke against Yoroi Kato, a member of Kabuto's team with their clan's customary purple clothes and the cloth covering the bottom half of his face, and round black glasses. Sasuke and Yoroi dropped into the ring and the proctor told them to begin. Yoroi instantly sprinted forward, his hand glowing, and grabbed Sasuke by the head, beginning to drain his chakra while pinning his head to the ground. My chakra! Sasuke groaned. What are you stealing it? That's right, Yoroi grinned as Sasuke fell limp. After a couple of minutes of Sasuke struggling to move, he finally planted his foot in Yoroi's chest, sending him flying and shouting, Get off me! So you've still got some strength left, Yoro commented standing. Impressive, for a guinea pig. Whoa, that was close, Sasuke thought, struggling to stand. Don't worry, I'll make it short and sweet, Yoroi sneered, charging forward again. He began swinging at Sasuke, but Sasuke managed to dodge him for a moment until he brushed his hair. His strength left him and he stumbled past Yoroi, nearly falling. What's the matter? Yoro sneered. Is that really the best you can do? Sasuke spun, throwing his foot out in a desperate kick, but Yoroi easily jumped away from it. I don't have the speed to keep away from him, Sasuke thought. And I don't have a chance at a close quarters fight. I need to think of something fast. Come on, Sasuke! Naruto shouted. If you can handle that snake, you can handle this goon. Sasuke looked back at Naruto before seeing Lee and remembering the fight he had with Lee before the preliminaries began. That's it, Sasuke thought. I'll teach you to turn your back on me. Yoroi shouted, charging forward again. Big mistake, and you're last. Again he struggled to hit Sasuke, with Sasuke barely eluding his attacks. Then, he suddenly vanished, before reappearing below him and smashing him into the air with his foot, much as Lee had done to him during their own fight. Yoroi flew into the air and Sasuke flipped onto all fours before leaping after Yoroi, leaving Lee and his sensei both speechless. Okay, I admit it, I kinda borrowed that move, but from here on in, Sasuke said, appearing behind Yoroi and placing 2 fingers against his back. It's all original. The dancing leaf shadow? Yoroi questioned. Now take this, Sasuke said seconds before his seal began to act up again and send pain shooting through his body. He stiffened, shouting in pain as the seal began to spread. No, not again, Sasuke growled. It keeps getting stronger and stronger. The seal continued to spread and he struggled to slow it without success. Is that it? Naruto shouted. And you call yourself an Uchiha? Shut up, loser, Sasuke thought. Don't write me off yet. No. I won't let this thing take over. No way. After another moment, the seal retracted, returning to its dormant state, and Sasuke grinned. Here we go, Sasuke grinned. Sasuke placed his hand on Yoroi's back, spinning himself and swinging a kick that Yoroi blocked. Ha! Yoroi laughed. You're no match for me. Suddenly Sasuke spun the other way and backhanded Yoroi with a full fist to the chest, sending him shooting downward. Then Sasuke smashed his other fist into Yoroi's face, saying, Come back here. I'm not done yet. He flipped over and smashed his foot into Yoroi's stomach at the same time as Yoroi smashed into the ground. Lion's Barrage! Sasuke shouted as Yoroi fell limp. Then Sasuke threw himself backward, sliding along the ground. After a moment, he stopped and lay there for a moment before pushing himself up. I'm declaring this match over, Hate stated. As the winner of the match, Sasuke Uchiha will be advancing to the finals. Much better, Naruto grinned. Sakura, that seal, it spread over his body. That's how he beat the Sound Ninja, right? Yes, Sakura muttered. It made him impossibly strong, but he broke one of their arms just to hurt him. He would have killed them. I see, Naruto nodded. We'll move right on to the second match now, Hate called as Sasuke left the ring. The screen cycled through the names, eventually stopping at Shino Aburame and Zaku Ibumi. Naruto looked around the room, noticing Hinata looking away from him again as the teammate of hers that he didn't know dropping into the ring along with the Sound Ninja with the broken arm. Wonder what they can do, Naruto thought aloud. The Sound Ninja blows blasts of air out of his hands, Sakura stated. The other one, Shino. I don't know, it said Aburame, right? Naruto questioned. Yeah, Sakura nodded. I think Dad told me they were bug breeders, Naruto stated. Maybe they can summon them. Clothes, Kakashi stated. They breed the bugs inside of their bodies. In exchange for homes, the bugs fight their battles for them. Well, anyway, I'll go make sure Sasuke's okay. And with that, he left. Hey Sakura, Naruto said, nudging her when he noticed Hinata look away again, blushing this time. Who's Hinata? Her, Sakura said, nodding toward her. I know that, but who is she? Naruto said, rolling his eyes. She's heiress to the Hyuga clan, Sakura stated. She's Niji's cousin. She uses the Byakugan, a Kekkei Genkai that allows the user to see other people's chakra networks and see over a large distance. At the same time, Byakugan users usually fight using the gentle fist style, where they barely hit their enemy but send pulses of their chakra into their enemies to damage internal organs or shut down their chakra flow, in the cases of the more skilled Byakugan users. Alright, Naruto nodded. Now why does Hinata keep staring at me? Idiot, Sakura snorted, shaking her head and looking back down at Zaku and Shino as a swarm of bugs began to close in on Zaku along the ground from one side, and Shino began to walk toward him with bugs swarming around him in the air. Suddenly, Zaku pulled his injured arm out and aimed it at Shino, then tried to blast both him and his bugs, but suddenly, his arms practically exploded, chakra-laced wind spilling out. What did you do? Zaku questioned. Like you said, Shino said. It's good to have an ace in the hole. However, I prefer to have 2 aces. I plugged your arms with my bugs. Just to be safe, I plugged your broken arm too. I'm glad I did. Zaku was carried away and the bugs all crawled back inside Shino's coat, and Shino returned to his team. Alright everyone, moving on to the third match, Hate called as the screen began to select 2 more ninja again. Just then, Sasuke got back and Naruto smirked. So, you sealed the mark? Naruto questioned. I did, Kakashi stated, surprised that Naruto knew. Just then, the screen displayed Kankuro and Misumi Tsurugi. The other member of Kabuto's team dropped to the floor. He wore clothing similar to Yoroi's but black with white sleeves showing, and large round glasses. Then, the Sand Village ninja with the bandages with hair on his back dropped to the ground. He wore black pants, a black sweatshirt with a hood that looked to have cat ears. He wore purple war paint on his face and set the object beside him, holding it at the top where it looked like there was brown hair sticking out. Begin, Hate said, and Misumi instantly shot forward, wrapping his body around Kankuro and constricting him like a snake. The more you struggle, the tighter I'll squeeze, Misumi stated. Jesus, Naruto whispered. It's like Orochimaru. Suddenly, there was a loud crack and Kankuro's head fell limp. I think he broke his neck, Lee stated. You're right, Naruto stated. Suddenly, pieces of Kankuro's face fell off and Naruto grinned. Shame it isn't Kankuro, Naruto grinned. Suddenly the head lifted and twisted around, its left eye revealed as Kankuro's puppet, and the rest of the face cracked. Now it's my turn, so say goodbye, the puppet said. Its arms suddenly shot out, constricting Misumi as Kankuro stepped out of the bandages where he had been hiding on his puppet's back and pulled his hood back up. The puppet's arms began to squeeze and Misumi screamed in pain. I give up! Misumi shouted. But if your bones are all crushed, just think of how much more flexible you'll be. Kankuro sneered as his puppet dropped Misumi and wrapped itself up in the bandages. Then, Kankuro returned to his team with his puppet and Misumi was taken away. The next two picked were Ino and Sakura. Unfortunately, Naruto couldn't watch because he needed to go to the bathroom, of all things. By the time he got back, Sakura was trapped with chakra hidden below hair that Ino had cut off at some point, and Ino quickly caught her in her signature jutsu, the mind transfer jutsu. Sakura stood up tall, grinning. Did she get her? Lee questioned. Yeah, Naruto nodded as Ino's body fell limp but stayed on her knees somehow. Sakura raised her hand, grinning even wider. Sakura Haruna would like to say that I with Ino began, speaking with Sakura's body. Stop! Naruto shouted, going off a hunch. Come on, Sakura, you really want me to tell Sasuke you let Ino beat you? Yell all you want, there's nothing you can do now, Ino sneered. Then, Sakura's body tensed and Ino's control began to slip. Both hands went to the sides of her head and she began to groan in pain. What's happening? Ino screeched. Naruto's so annoying. Ino stiffened again in surprise, recognizing the voice. He's right, I can't let Ino beat me. Ino began to struggle again. Sakura! Ino cried. This can't be happening. What's wrong? Hate asked. Are you withdrawing or not? Well, are you? No, I won't be withdrawing. Sakura shouted, retaking control. Not today or any day. She struggled again before making a hand seal and saying, release. Chakra covered her body for a moment before shooting back into Ino. Ino stood stumbling away and Sakura grinned. Thanks, Naruto, Sakura called. Ino, you're dead. Both girls were breathing hard and barely able to stand, but they charged forward anyway. The ending, however, could have been better. They punched each other in the face at the same time, knocking each other out, ending the fight in a tie. This fight is a draw, Hate finally said after waiting for one of the two to stir. Next were Tenten and Temari, the girl in Lee's team and the girl in Kankuro's team. While they fought, Naruto caught Hinata staring at him 3 times and Sakura and Ino woke up, commending each other's strength and renewing their friendship. The winner is Temari, Hate eventually called, and Naruto realized he had spaced out during the fight. Naruto looked down at the floor and saw that Temari's fan was open, showing 3 purple dots, and Tenten was covered with scratches. There were 2 scrolls and several dozen ninja tools around, and Naruto could guess how Tenten fought but not Temari. The next fight was Shikamaru and the sound ninja girl named Kintsuchi. Both walked into the ring and Shikamaru sighed, clearly not pleased about fighting a girl. The proctor told them to begin and Shikamaru instantly tried to catch her with his shadow possession jutsu with no success. Kin dodged sideways and threw 2 Senbon at him, both having bells attached to the back ends. He ducked under them and they stuck into the wall. Bells? Shikamaru questioned. Let me guess, next you'll throw Senbon with bells at the same time as ones without. I'll be supposed to react to the ones with bells but will be hit by the silent ones, right? Thanks for the heads up. You sure do talk a lot, don't you? Kin questioned, throwing more Senbon, this time free of bells. Just as he stood, the bells on the first 2 Senbon began to ring. He turned to look and saw a nearly unnoticeable string attached to each, making them ring. Threads? Shikamaru thought, then realized his mistake and began to turn back around. Oh man, too late. Kin said, throwing 2 more Senbon and hitting him with enough force to throw him backward. Shikamaru! Ino shouted. Not yet, Naruto smirked. He may be lazy but he's not weak. Up and at him. He stood and pulled the Senbon out of his arm. 1 inch higher and that would have been a fatal hit, Shikamaru noted. Okay, now I get a turn. Sorry, that was your turn, Kin sneered, tugging the threads again and making the bells ring. Shikamaru didn't turn to look this time, but this time, his head became clouded and he felt nauseous. What's going on? Shikamaru groaned before falling to his knees. You see, you don't ever ask for whom the bell tolls, because it tolls for thee, Kin stated cryptically. This bell sends off a peculiar sound vibration that travels to the outer and inner then directly to the brain. First comes paralysis, then you'll start hallucinating. Shikamaru groaned and covered his ears. It won't work, Kin stated. You can't block the sound out once it's in your head. It's useless. Shikamaru looked up at her, but suddenly there were dozens. I can't tell which one is real, Shikamaru groaned. You can't move your arms or legs, all of the kin said at once. And even if you could, you wouldn't know which one of us to throw your shadow at. Face it, you're cooked, little man. All of them held up 3 saban and grinned. I'm going to cook you nice and slow over a hot fire, Kin said, tugging on the thread again. You think it's that easy, huh? Shikamaru questioned. Kin responded by throwing the saban. 2 stuck into his forearms, and 1 into his shoulder. That was 3, next time I'll throw 5, Kin stated. Each time a couple more, till you end up looking like a hedgehog. Stop playing games, why don't you? If you're so tough, get it over with, stop wasting my time. I'm sorry, so you're not a fan of my slow and painful method, huh? Kin questioned, tugging the threads again. Fine, we'll do it the quick way then and painful. She held up 3 more saban and grinned. Suddenly, Shikamaru gasped and Kin blinked in surprise, struggling to move her hand. Huh? Kin gasped. What's going on? Can't move my arm. Heh, looks like my lame shadow jutsu was a success after all, Shikamaru grinned, standing. What? Kin gasped. But you haven't thrown any shadows, I made sure of it. You really still don't see it? Shikamaru grinned. What do you mean? Kin questioned. Look at that threat you're holding, Shikamaru stated. Don't you find it strange that it would even cast a shadow at this height? Of course you didn't notice it because you were focused on other things, like killing me. I stretched my shadow out along the line of that thread and followed it all the way back. Now I'm attached to you. He raised his hand pointing at her, and she copied him, shaking with the effort to resist. And now? Kin questioned. So we mirror each other's movements, so what? A cute trick, but what do you gain by it? Man, you're annoying, shut up and watch? Shikamaru growled, reaching down and drawing a shuriken, which she also did. You must be inside. Kin gasped. If you throw that shuriken at me, you'll just be attacking yourself. Makes it kind of interesting, doesn't it? Shikamaru questioned. You wouldn't, you couldn't. Kin shouted, beginning to panic as both of them drew the shuriken back. Like a game of chicken. Let's see who ducks first. Shikamaru shouted, throwing it. You're crazy. Kin shouted, also throwing it. Just before it hit, Shikamaru bent over backward, quickly, catching himself on the floor as the shuriken passed under him. Big deal, I'll do that too, Kin thought as she began to bend backward. However, before she got even halfway, her head smashed into the wall and the shuriken stuck into the wall above her. And that's what I call using your head, Shikamaru grinned. The wise shinobi carefully scouts the physical layout of the battlefield and never loses sight of his position on it. That was her problem. I kept her so focused on me, she didn't notice the wall inches behind her head. So when we both dodged backward, kabong. Now who's hearing bells? Winner of the 6th match, Shikamaru Nara, Hate stated. Ino began cheering and Shikamaru returned to his team while Dosu took Kin back to the other sound ninja. The screen began to cycle again and stopped on Naruto and Kiba. You've got to be kidding me, Naruto groaned. Can't I even have a challenge? Would you prefer Orochimaru? Sakura questioned. Hell no, Naruto said, paling. I'll take the Suna kid. Naruto and Kiba dropped into the ring, Kiba looking a bit nervous and Akamaru was shaking slightly. We can take him, Kiba reassured him. This'll be fun. Speak for yourself, Naruto grinned, crouching and placing his hand on the ground. Whenever you're ready. Alright, Hate said. Begin. Seals instantly shot out from under Naruto's hand, covering the floor in perfect alternating rows that formed perfect 4-sided diamonds with 1-inch sides. What the Kiba began but stopped seeing the interested look in Kurena's expression. Alright, be ready, Akamaru. For those of you who recognize my jutsu, Naruto called. You probably already know who I am. For those of you who don't, watch carefully. See if you can keep up. Kiba hesitated for a moment before shaking his head and shooting forward in a blur. Just as he swung at Naruto, Naruto jumped, teleporting to a seal beside Akamaru and began to pet the dog. Akamaru jumped, crying out in surprise and spraying all over the floor, running over to Kiba as Kiba looked at Naruto in shock. But that's no one, as Kiba was at a loss for words while those on the upper level were even worse off. He's so fast, Lee gaped. I didn't even see him move. And you won't, Guy muttered quietly enough that Kiba and Akamaru couldn't hear even with their heightened senses. Why? Lee questioned, just as quietly. He's not moving, Guy stated. He's teleporting to the seals. He put that many down so that Kiba couldn't escape anywhere on the floor. That's impossible, Shino stated. My insects can't even track his movements. So it's that kind of jutsu. It's the 4th Hokage's, Hinata whispered, barely loud enough for Shino to hear. That's right, Shino agreed. You know how, right? I think so, Hinata nodded. That's not just a movement trick, is it? Kiba questioned. Maybe, Naruto shrugged before making several hand seals, thanking Minato for teaching him the teleportation barrier. Then, Naruto held a kunai out in reverse grip with the flat of the blade facing Kiba. Fetch doggies, Naruto grinned. Kiba growled and charged at him, leaping at him and hitting a barrier as 6 lines of seals spread away from him a few feet. Kiba passed into the barrier instantly, disappearing, and Naruto held the kunai out with both hands open and grinned as Kiba appeared behind Akamaru, tackling him instead of Naruto, and then looking around in shock and confusion. Was that a genjutsu? Kiba questioned. No way, Lee gasped. You can't touch me, Naruto grinned. Give up, my next move will be an attack. Akamaru stood, now shaking badly, and Kiba picked him up. I'll handle this, buddy, Kiba smiled, tossing him up to Hinata. Alright, Naruto. You're good. Let's see what you can do. Naruto grinned and put his kunai away, bowing. As he reached a 45-degree angle, he jumped into a front flip, teleporting to a seal behind Kiba and bringing his feet down on Kiba's head, smashing him into the ground, then teleported back to the seal he had been at, finishing his bow. Kiba groaned and stood, looking around and seeing Naruto bowing. He instantly blurred forward and swiped at Naruto, but Naruto leaned back out of the way and teleported to the ground, laying on his back and smashed both into Kiba's stomach, launching him to the ceiling. He crashed into it, then fell and landed on his left shoulder. Everyone heard it break and Naruto winced and walked over, helping Kiba up. Ready to give up? Naruto questioned as Kiba stood. Suddenly, Kiba had him lifted off the ground by the throat and was grinning. You're a fool, Kiba grinned. You should never let your guard down. Naruto created a clone who shoved Kiba. The moment they were moving, Naruto teleported to a seal beside the wall and took Kiba with him. Both of them crashed into the wall, hard, and Kiba dropped Naruto, who teleported away. Ow, Naruto groaned, rubbing his head where he hit the wall. Just quit, Kiba. And no, Kiba groaned. One move left. Kiba crouched, growling, then leapt forward, spinning and speeding up until he formed a long gray drill-like streak shooting toward Naruto much faster than he could before. Tunneling Fang! Kiba shouted as he shot forward. Naruto jumped back, teleporting out of the way, and landed on his feet. Just as he did, Kiba tunneled into the ground and the room began to shake. After a moment, Naruto jumped as Kiba exploded up below him. Naruto teleported out of the way, landing in a roll, then pushed himself up in time for Kiba to hit him, slamming into the wall and continuing to spin against his torso, his claws slashing most of his body, leaving massive gashes. Naruto finally managed to teleport out of the way, allowing Kiba to drill into the wall, and began making hand seals, drawing his kunai just in time for Kiba to explode through the wall directly behind Naruto. Naruto leapt forward, entering his own barrier and coming out in a seal on the far side of the room and hitting the wall beside the hole Kiba had made on his way out. Just as Kiba hit the barrier, Naruto sent him to a seal in the furthest corner, and Kiba appeared there, first shooting toward the statue of the hands but spinning and shooting at Naruto again. Naruto finally groaned and teleported to a seal below Kiba, smashing his feet into Kiba and launching him into the ceiling again, where Kiba began spinning again. Tunneling Fang! Kiba shouted. Fine, Naruto growled, swarming the floor with clones who began swarming around and past each other before stopping and all forming a Rasengan, barely strong enough to hurt Kiba but enough to slow him down enough for Naruto to knock him out. Come and get us! Kiba shot into the swarm of clones, moving too fast to be hit. Finally, one of the clones managed to place a seal on Kiba and Naruto teleported to it, slamming his Rasengan into his back. Rasengan! Naruto shouted as Kiba slammed into the ground, disoriented. Then, the remaining Narutos swarmed him and all punched him once before disappearing. When they all left, Naruto staggered away, out of energy, as Kiba staggered to his feet, about to black out. You son of a bitch, Kiba growled. You would know about bitches, wouldn't you? Naruto grinned and Kiba growled, charging forward again. Let's finish this, Naruto said, hurling his kunai at Kiba. The kunai missed his head by millimeters. Kiba grinned, but suddenly, Naruto was above him and slammed both feet into Kiba's back, slamming him into the ground. Both collapsed and began to breathe hard and struggled to move. Everyone waited in a dead silence to see if either could stand, and after a moment, Naruto managed to push himself up. I really hope you can't move, Naruto groaned. I'm finished. Shame, Kiba panted. So am I. As Kiba is unable to continue, I'm declaring Naruto the winner, Hate declared. You might want to get those cuts looked at. I'll be okay, Naruto panted. Anyone have a soldier pill? One of the medics that came to collect Kiba tossed him one and he ate it, then walked up the stairs to his team. As he was passing Hinata and Shino spoke up. That was an impressive teleportation jutsu, Shino commented. It's the fourth Hokage's, isn't it? Yes, Naruto nodded. It takes a lot more chakra than I thought. You did well to defeat Kiba after being hit directly by that attack for that long, Shino stated. Normally it would just be a glancing blow that throws you. You really ticked him off. Ain't I lucky, Naruto said sarcastically. See, congratulations, and Naruto. Hinata finally spoke up. Why, you were amazing. Thanks, Naruto smiled. Kiba was a lot faster than I thought. If not for my teleportation jutsu, I would have lost. I don't think so, Hinata stated, blushing bright red. Thanks for your confidence, but you're wrong, Naruto smiled. Hinata may be right, Shino stated. Had Kiba kept Akamaru with him, you would have been torn apart. Naruto shrugged and returned to his team as the screen selected another fight. Neji and Hinata. Naruto's stomach dropped when he saw the panicked look on Hinata and Kurinai's faces and the smug look on Neji's. Hinata was doomed. The two Hyugas moved to the lower level, which Kakashi had largely repaired with Earth-style jutsus for the remaining fights. I never thought that you and I would have to face each other, Hinata, Neji commented. Nor I, brother, Hinata replied. Brother? Sakura questioned. Huh. I guess they're not cousins after all. They're both descended from the Hyuga clan, Kakashi stated. One of the most ancient and honorable clans of the Hidden Leaf Village, not actually brother and sister. Okay, but they are related, right? Sakura questioned. Yes, in the way that branches of a great tree are related to its trunk, Kakashi stated. Technically, they're more like cousins. Hinata's from the main house and Neji is from a branch family, Naruto summed up. Pretty much, Kakashi agreed. So, it's like a family feud, Sakura stated. Kind of, Kakashi nodded. They're starting, Naruto stated. Alright, you may begin when ready, Hate stated. Before we do this, a word of advice, Neji offered. Hinata, listen to me. Withdraw now. You know you were never meant to be a ninja. Hinata's eyes widened in surprise and hurt, but Neji wasn't done. You're too kind and gentle, Neji explained. You seek harmony and avoid conflict. You allow yourself to be easily swayed by others. Admit it, you have no confidence. You feel inferior to everyone else here. It would have been better for you to simply remain a genin. But to register for the Chunin exams you need a team of 3 people. You never even wanted to take part in these exams, but Shino and Kiba did, and you couldn't bear to let your teammates down, could you? No. Hinata practically pleaded. You're wrong. You're wrong. I had to find out I did it because I wanted to see if I could change. After several moments, Neji said, Hinata, you are the pampered offspring of the Hyuga's main branch. What? Hinata said in surprise. People can't change no matter how hard they try, Neji stated coldly. Hinata's eyes were instantly filled with hurt, while her face showed shock. She believed him, at least in part. They can't run away from their true nature, Neji continued. A failure will always be a failure. Naruto gripped the handrail tightly, nearing the end of his patience. People are judged by their true nature, Neji stated. It is the way of the world. That is why we have an elite, and why we have outcasts. We can change our physical appearance. We can improve our skills with training and study. But ultimately, we are judged by what we cannot change. What can't be changed, must be endured. We are who we are, Hinata, and we must live with it. By now, Hinata was on the verge of tears, and Naruto was keeping his teeth clamped shut and using the teleportation barrier in front of him that his father had set up as an excuse not to jump down and beat the shit out of Neji himself. Just as I must live with the face that you were born into the elite of our clan, while I am from a lesser branch, Neji stated. I understand these things because I see the world clearly, with my Byakugan. Despite your brave words, what you're really thinking is that you'd like to run as far away from here as you can. No! Hinata cried. You're wrong. You're wrong about me, Byakugan? Sakura questioned Kakashi. It's the Kekkei Genkai, or bloodline trait of the Hyuga clan, Kakashi stated. Naruto turned back to the Hyugas in time to see Neji form a hand seals and say, Byakugan. Veins began to stand out at the sides of his face, and smaller ones in his iris, and his pupils became more distinct. The simple act of him activating his Byakugan was enough to make Hinata shake in fear. After a moment, she looked away, unable to look him in the eye. My eyes cannot be deceived, Neji finally said. A moment ago, in the slightest of movements, your eyes drifted to the upper left corner of the room. I saw, at that moment, you were thinking of your past. Bitter past. And then, almost immediately after, your gaze drifted to the lower right. It was a mere flicker of the eyes, but to me it revealed all of your mental and physical suffering. You're seeing your old self, and wondering if your life has prepared you for this moment. You're picturing the outcome of the battle. You see yourself losing. Hinata gasped, and Naruto growled in frustration. And the way you're holding your arms in front of your body like that? Neji sneered. It tells me that you're trying to build a wall between us to keep me at bay. You want me to keep from reading the deepest recesses of your mind. And why? Because everything I've said is true. Shall I go on? Kakashi rested a hand on Naruto's shoulder, sensing just how angry he was getting. That familiar gesture of putting your finger to your lips, Neji continued. I know that it's a desperate attempt to suppress your rising panic. Made all the more desperate by the fact that you know it's futile. It's all futile, Hinata. You are what you are. Whether you admit it or not. You already know. Enough already. Naruto finally shouted. Who the hell gave you the right to tell her what she can and can't be? Just shut the fuck up and mind your own damn business. You call her a coward, but she's not the one who's trying to talk you out of actually fighting. Come on, Hinata. Show him just how strong you are. Hinata stared at him for a moment before her head fell. Neji glared up at Naruto, then looked back at Hinata and his eyes widened. A moment later, Hinata looked up at him with a determined stare. If you don't forfeit the match, you know what will happen, Neji warned. Hinata responded by beginning to make hand seals. I won't run away, Hinata thought. Never again. No more hiding. She finished her seals and activated her Byakugan. Naruto grinned and gripped the railing, no longer in frustration but in excitement. She took a stance and said, Defend yourself, my brother. Neji mirrored her stance and said, Very well then. After a couple minutes, they both darted forward and Hinata thrust her hand toward her, palm open and Niji blocked it, careful not to touch her hand. As she threw her hand forward, chakra shot out of it in a small burst. They spent several minutes dodging and blocking each other's attacks until Niji slipped off balance and Hinata threw an attack instantly. Niji stepped backward, barely avoiding a shot to his side. They both took a step back and after a moment, they returned to trading blows, careful to avoid taking damage from each other. After several more seconds, Hinata very nearly hit him again and Niji jumped back. After a few more seconds, they continued and after a few blows, Hinata stepped forward for a blow to the heart and both of them stopped. No one moved but everyone could see that Niji had dodged or blocked the attack. Did she get him? Lee questioned. Yes, Sakura nodded and was about to start cheering but stopped when she realized that Naruto was holding the railing in a death grip. You didn't see him attack too, did you? Naruto growled. Who hit who? After a moment, Hinata leaned back, coughing up blood and everyone gasped, except Naruto who closed his eyes, having already seen how it had happened. Niji's left hand had 2 fingers against Hinata's attacking arm where he had used a blast of chakra to stop her attack while his right arm had delivered a direct hit to her heart. So that's it, huh? Niji questioned. That's all there is to the main branch's power? I'm not done yet. Hinata thought using her left hand to knock Niji's right away and threw an attack at his head. However, before she could hit him, he caught her wrist and hit a spot beside her elbow. Then, he pulled her sleeve up and revealed several burnt spots along her arm. All perfectly round and bright red. But you mean, Hinata gasped. All this time you… That's right, Niji interrupted, voice cold. I could see your chakra points the whole time. What's he talking about? Naruto questioned. On the chakra network there are 316 chakra centers, or chakra points, and each are only about the size of the head of a pin, Kakashi explained. Hitting one directly can affect the flow of chakra, either halting it or increasing it, depending on how the attacker strikes the chakra points. Theoretically, doing so allows one to gain complete control of their opponent's chakra flow. But these chakra points, they're undetectable, even to my Sharingan eye. And even beyond the ability to see the chakra points, he can target them accurately, even during intense battle. Suddenly Niji hit Hinata again and launched her backward. Look, Hinata, I'm completely out of your league and that won't change, Niji stated. That is what separates the elites from the failures. You may not like it but it's a fact. From the instant you said you wouldn't run anymore, your fate was sealed. You were destined for failure. And now, you're consumed with hopelessness. Now this is your last warning, Hinata. Forfeit this match. Hinata, now on her hands and knees, struggled to say before pushing herself up, more blood running down her chin. I never go back on my word. Because that is my ninja way. Naruto blinked in surprise, remembering telling his class the same thing a long time ago. Naruto snapped back to reality to see Hinata look up at him, and smiled then lower her gaze to Niji, as he Byakugan reactivated. Bring it on, Niji said, reactivating his own. Suddenly she doubled over, coughing up more blood. Naruto gripped the rail tightly as Niji took his fighting pose again. Naruto looked around and saw that everyone was giving the Hyugas the same look. The fight was over. Hinata had lost. They all knew it. No, Naruto whispered to himself. Don't risk your life to prove your point. You can't win. Hinata sprinted forward again, attacking Niji as before but still couldn't hurt him. This time, she wasn't using gentle fist, she was simply trying to hit him. And still, she couldn't. Finally, after about 5 minutes, Niji hit Hinata's arm away then slammed his hand into the bottom of her jaw, launching her yet again. Hinata stood and they sprinted forward, attacking Niji again but he knocked her attack aside then delivered his own along with a massive blast of chakra to her heart yet again. Hinata coughed up blood again as her knees gave out, and she fell forward. Everyone gasped and Naruto finally released the railing, leaning back against the wall, feeling very queasy and not sure why. You just don't get it, do you? Niji questioned. Your strikes were ineffective from the very start. You're finished. He deactivated his Byakugan and stared down at her in disgust. It's too bad but after that blow to the heart, Hinata is done, Might Guy stated. Don't say that. Naruto snapped. What the hell are the medical nin here for, huh? They can only help if she concedes of hate calls it, Guy stated. I'm sorry Naruto, but Hinata's either got to break her word, or die. Hate finally stepped forward and looked down at Hinata. Since she's unable to continue, the winner of this match is… No! Hinata managed to say as she began to push herself up again, barely able to move. Finally, she reached her feet and stood, barely conscious. What do you think you're doing? Niji questioned. If you continue to fight, you'll die. After a few minutes, Niji finally activated his Byakugan, and Hinata began stumbling forward. I'm far from finished, Hinata stated. Give up the tough guy act, Niji ordered. I can tell you're barely standing. You've been carrying a very heavy burden, having been born to the main branch of the Hyuga clan. And you've cursed and blamed yourself for being weak. But look, people can't change the way they are. That's just how it is. Just accept defeat, and you won't have to suffer anymore. No, you're wrong, brother, Hinata panted. You've got it backwards. You see, I can tell that you're the one you're suffering much more than I. I what? Niji questioned, not understanding. You are the one who's all torn up about the fate of the main and side branches of the Hyuga clan, Hinata stated. Niji suddenly growled in frustration and charged forward, shouting in rage. Niji, no! Hate shouted, running to intercept him but not able to run fast enough. The match is over. Oh man, Kakashi, Guy, and Kurinai all moved to help Hate, but before anyone could take a step, Niji reached the last intact teleportation seal. Naruto reached just as he threw his attack at Hinata. Naruto teleported to the seal, appearing between the two Hyugas and catching Niji's hand, taking the attack full force from his arm into his torso. The Jonin and Hate all froze, and after a moment, Naruto turned his head and spit blood onto the ground before glaring at Niji. The match is over, Naruto stated coldly. You want to fight from here, you fight me. Niji! Guy shouted. Get a hold of yourself. You promised me you wouldn't let this whole head family thing get you riled up. Get out of my way, Naruto, Niji ordered, ignoring Guy. Naruto narrowed his eyes and squeezed Niji's hand. Niji screamed as Naruto pressed his bones to the point that they were about to break. Niji responded by sending 3 quick strikes to Naruto's heart through his hand, then hitting him directly in the heart with his free hand. Naruto grunted and kicked Niji, sending him flying back before spitting out more blood. Guy caught Niji and Kurinai put him to sleep with the genjutsu just as both Naruto and Hinata collapsed, Naruto's heart completely stopping. The medics rushed forward and began to work on Naruto while Hinata was rushed off to the ER. After several minutes of trying and failing to save Naruto, the medics all turned to Minato at the same time, their question clear. I did not have you given to him to be dormant, Minato said to no one in particular. Do you intend to die? Suddenly, Naruto's body arched upward as a wave of red chakra shot off of it, and his heart pounded so loudly that they all heard it. Then, the body fell limp again and a medic checked for a pulse, finding a weak one. He and another medic instantly began to keep Naruto's heart beating while he too was rushed away. Minato sent a clone to tell Kushina he was on his way to the hospital. Then the next fight was chosen. Naruto opened his eyes and groaned. His whole body ached. Most of it was from Niji, but some of it was from the medics that saved him. He looked around his tiny hospital room and sighed. The walls were all bare and white. His bed was painted white with white sheets, comforter, and pillow, white door, and the heart monitor was also painted white with the exception of the screen, which showed a normal heart rate. There was only the one bed and 2 beds, one of which was taken by his mother. He sat up, wincing at the pain but deciding that he had rested enough. It had been 3 days already. Minato had informed him that they had been given a month to train. You should be resting, Kushina stated, opening her eyes and sitting up. We both know I was mostly healed yesterday, Naruto smirked. You know better than anyone. That's true, Kushina grinned. So, what are you going to do? I was planning on visiting Hinata then having you get me the heck out of here, Naruto grinned. No one's visited me yet, so I figure they won't mind if I leave. Fair enough, Kushina sighed. I'll go tell them that Minato said you could leave. She left, and Naruto stood and dressed himself quickly. Then, he left his room and walked down the hall to Hinata's. He looked inside but stopped when he saw that Hinata's mother was sitting beside her looking worried. Hinata was awake but looked tired and both had dark circles under their eyes. After a moment of them sitting in silence, Hinata's mother looked up and saw Naruto. She smiled and stood walking out past him. Don't be too long, she requested. Hinata needs her rest. But I won't refuse the man who saved her life. I won't keep her too long, Naruto promised. She smiled and nodded, then left, and Naruto stepped into the room. And Naruto? Hinata gasped. You should be resting. My injuries weren't as bad as yours, Naruto lied. I'm pretty much healed already. Besides, I wanted to see how you were doing. Hinata's face turned crimson but she nodded, smiling. He sat beside her and smiled as well. The doctor said I'd be able to leave in about 3 weeks, Hinata stated. It would be less time, but my heart had almost stopped when I got here. Have you heard how the rest of the fights went? Naruto questioned. And no, Hinata stated, shaking her head. I have a question, if you don't mind. Not at all, Naruto smiled. Are you the 4th Hokage's son? Hinata questioned. I am, Naruto nodded. So, why are you Naruto Uzumaki and not Naruto Namikaze? Hinata questioned. When I was young, it was so that no one would know I was his son and use me to target him, Naruto explained. I couldn't defend myself and he couldn't protect me and be Hokage at the same time. Once I was older, we just never bothered to change my name because we knew who I was, and if anyone had asked, I would have told them who my family was. Hinata nodded just as Sakura walked in. There you are, Naruto, Sakura said, exasperated. Sorry, I never visited, but I was recovering from lack of chakra. Meaning you were with Sasuke, Naruto stated. How did the other fights go? There were only 2 left, Sakura stated. Choji fought that sound ninja guy with the gauntlet that makes sound from wind, Dosu, I think. Dosu beat Choji easily. Lee fought that Gaara guy from the sand village, the one with the gourd. The gourd apparently holds sand that Gaara fights with. At first Lee couldn't touch Gaara because the sand protects him. Lee couldn't get through. Then Lee removed some massive leg weights and began to kick Gaara's ass. He beat the hell out of Gaara and eventually did some jutsu that he called the 5th gate, or something, and became even stronger and faster. But then when he delivered the final blow, Gaara fell away as a hollow sand statue that Gaara, the real one, called sand armor. Then Gaara beat Lee by using sand to blow crush his left arm and leg and try to kill him. If Guy-sensei hadn't intervened, Lee would be dead. Gaara's a monster. Is Lee okay? Naruto questioned. He's alive, Sakura stated. I doubt he'll be able to do anything at all for a long time though. Naruto nodded and Sakura sat beside him. Naruto, Minato suddenly said, walking into the room. Sorry to interrupt, but you need to train a lot if you're going to have to fight Gaara. Naruto nodded, hearing exactly how serious Minato was. I'll see you around, I guess, Naruto smiled. Hinata smiled as well and nodded, and Naruto left. The moment he was gone, Hinata finally stopped fighting it and fainted. Naruto followed Minato back to the house and found Kushina waiting in a uniquely sour mood. Is something wrong? Naruto questioned. Your mother doesn't want you to continue in the exams, Minato sighed. She also doesn't want you to be within 100 feet of Jiraiya-sensei. Oh, Naruto nodded, remembering them mentioning Minato's old teacher. When is he supposed to be here? He should be already, Minato sighed. I'm going to find him. For now, I suppose you'll have to busy yourself. I suggest you go to the spa and practice your water walking. Naruto nodded and left. Minato also left and began to search for Jiraiya while Naruto went to the one hot spring that required a bathing suit. He walked out to the edge of the water and stepped onto it, but the moment he put his weight on that foot, he fell through the water. He stood up and blinked in surprise, then climbed back out and tried again. He lasted a second, but still fell through. He growled in frustration and continued to try, always failing. Normally he could last about a minute. He couldn't figure out why it was so hard now. After a few minutes he finally leaned against the side and looked around. There was a fairly fat man with long spiky white hair peeking at the women's side and writing something on a notepad, but other than that the hot spring was deserted. Hey pervert, Naruto called. What are you doing? I'm no pervert, the old man huffed, turning around to glare at Naruto. I'm the one and only great toad sage, Jiraiya. You're a pervert, Naruto stated. Pervy sage sounds good. You dare insult me? Jiraiya raged. Summoning jutsu, he bit his thumb and slammed it into the ground and summoned a toad the size of a small horse. The toad's tongue shot out and Naruto jumped over it. Suddenly something inside his head clicked, and he raised an eyebrow. Jiraiya, huh? Naruto questioned, landing beside the water. As in, the legendary Sannin? The fourth Hokage's teacher? That's right, Jiraiya sneered. And you are? Naruto ducked under the tongue and grinned. I'm his son, Naruto grinned. You're yeah right, Jiraiya grinned. His son would know the teleportation jutsu. Catch, Naruto said, throwing a kunai at him while dodging the tongue again. Jiraiya caught the kunai just as Naruto appeared beside him with another kunai to his throat. Impressive, Naruto, Jiraiya smirked. You're definitely your father's son. There you are, Jiraiya, Minato sighed, appearing beside Naruto using his son's kwani. Naruto, I would like to introduce you to your godfather. He's going to help me train you. Cool, Naruto grinned. What are you going to teach me? For starters, the summoning jutsu, Jiraiya stated. Then we'll see. Naruto bit his thumb and slammed his hand into the ground, but once again the only thing that appeared was a tadpole. Jiraiya and Minato both sighed and gave each other a knowing look. We could always try the other method, Jiraiya suggested. No, Minato stated flatly. Summoning jutsu. Naruto shouted, slamming his hand down. This time, he summoned a massive tadpole the size of a horse with 2 legs on one side of its body. However, this one was dead. He is your son, Jiraiya pointed out, referring to Minato's own difficulty in learning to summon. Do it, Minato finally sighed. Just be careful about it. Jiraiya nodded and walked over to Naruto. We're going to try something else, since there's only a couple days left, and you still can't successfully summon, Jiraiya sighed. It starts with lunch. Cool, Naruto grinned. By the way, did I ever thank you for removing the seal Jiraiya placed on me? No, Jiraiya smirked. But don't try to butter me up. I'm buying lunch anyway. Naruto cheered and Minato chuckled, then sighed. After lunch, Jiraiya took Naruto to the top of the Hokage monument, where a massive trench, almost big enough to be a canyon, dropped into the mountain so far that Naruto couldn't see the bottom. The sides were lined with massive spikes and the trench was easily 50 feet across. What do you see down there? Jiraiya questioned, pointing into the trench. Naruto leaned forward to look and Jiraiya shoved him. Naruto tumbled and flipping and spinning through the air. After a moment, he righted himself and looked up, seeing that it was already too late to throw a kunai and teleport. Plus his momentum would carry over and his landing would be fatal. Sighing, he bit his thumb and wiped the blood on his hand, then held it below him. Summoning jutsu. Naruto shouted as smoke shot out of his hand, flooding the trench below him. Suddenly it blew away and revealed a massive toad wearing a happy vest, a massive tanto, and holding a pipe in his mouth. The toad held its arms and legs out against the side of the trench, slowing their descent to a stop with Naruto landing on his head. Who are you? The toad questioned. Where are we? We're in a massive trench in the Hokage monument, and I'm Naruto Uzumaki, son of the 4th Hokage Minato Namikaze, Naruto stated. I summoned you. I know that, the toad stated. So you're Minato's boy, huh? Name's Gamabunta. Pleasure to meet you, Naruto greeted. Let's get out of this trench. I think Jiraiya should be reprimanded for throwing me in here. Jiraiya? Gamabunta questioned. I owe him for cheating me. Gamabunta suddenly lowered himself before launching himself upward and out of the pit, landing beside it, and looking around before Minato appeared beside Naruto. Hello Gamabunta, Minato greeted. You're free to leave if you want, we were just teaching Naruto to summon. Gamabunta nodded and shot his tongue out, sending Jiraiya flying, then disappeared. Minato and Naruto landed beside Jiraiya and Naruto looked to Minato for instruction. Next we'll do wind-style jutsus, Minato stated. I'm out, Jiraiya smirked. I'm fire and earth type. It's alright, Minato smirked. I know of a few, even though I have never successfully pulled any of them off perfectly. But I can do well enough to give you some idea of it. Naruto nodded and they returned to their training field and Minato began showing Naruto some jutsus. Kakashi had agreed to show Naruto a few but had never actually gotten around to it. Naruto picked it up quickly, successfully mastering both wind-style vacuum blade and wind-style air bullets. He struggled with the wind sword jutsu, however, as every time he tried to create one it damaged his hand. That's enough for today, Minato eventually sighed on the day before the final exam. We'll have Kushina heal your hand when we get home. Tomorrow you have a tournament to win. Naruto nodded and they returned to their house and found Kushina waiting. She healed his hand and gave Minato a dirty look for trying to teach him such a dangerous jutsu, but Minato just shrugged and smiled. He should learn it, Minato stated. Now, what's for dinner? Kushina sighed and made their dinner, then sent both to bed. The next day would be a long one, for all of them. Naruto stood beside Shikamaru and looked around. Sasuke was late, and his fight against Gaara was first. After some time, Minato finally announced that Sasuke's fight would be delayed to give him a chance to get there. That meant Naruto would be going first against Neji. The others all retreated to the stands, leaving only Naruto and Neji with the new proctor, Genma Shiranui, standing between them. The rules are the same as the preliminaries, Genma stated. Try not to maim each other too badly. You're going to lose, Neji stated after Genma had left the ring. I am destined to be second to the main branch, and you are destined to lose to me. You have had the easy life, and even with that jutsu of yours, you are destined to fail. Don't give me that destiny crap. Naruto spat. I'm going to kick your ass without my teleportation jutsu. I'm going to destroy you, because you feel you are better than me? Neji questioned. Because you deserve it after you tried to kill Hinata, Naruto stated. She's your family. And a fellow Leaf Village shinobi. The last thing you should do is try to kill her. If you think you stand a chance, why haven't you attacked yet? Neji questioned. Naruto grinned and began making hand seals, wind-style, air bullets. Naruto said before exhaling dozens of barely visible spheres of chakra-laced air at Neji. Neji activated his Byakugan in order to see the jutsu just in time for 3 to hit him in his shoulders and left leg. All 3 tore through his body, but Naruto had made them only gazing shots, so they only left scratches. Neji still flew back, bouncing and sliding over the ground before pushing himself up and groaning. You should be thankful I didn't aim at you, Naruto stated. I could have killed you. You're strong, Neji sneered. I didn't expect you to know such a powerful jutsu. Oh please, Naruto scoffed, pulling out a kunai and creating a vacuum blade on it. I know so many more than that. Neji charged and Naruto fired several more air bullets without the hand signs. Neji dodged these and Naruto swung at him with his vacuum blade. Neji dodged it, and Naruto grinned and created a clone who formed a wind sword and grinned at Neji, even while blood ran down its arm. That jutsu is you wouldn't dare, Neji growled. Try me, Naruto grinned, letting his vacuum blade disappear and putting the kunai away. You wouldn't, Neji sneered. Coward, Naruto grinned as his clone pulled its arm back to throw the wind sword. Stop! A voice that Naruto instantly recognized shouted just as the clone began to throw the jutsu. The clone spun, sending the jutsu into the wall instead, then disappeared, and Naruto looked up into the stands where Hinata was breathing a sigh of relief. Don't kill him! Hinata shouted. You're not him. Naruto stared at her for a moment, then back at Neji. Neji saw that his irises had turned red with slit pupils, but he was inning now. Congratulations, Naruto sneered. You'll survive this fight. Then, Naruto sent a massive wave of clones at him. Neji suddenly began spinning and destroying the clones. He only stopped when his hand hit a Rasengan. The explosion sent him flying into a wall, and badly burned his arm, but Neji still pushed himself up. Withdraw, Naruto commanded. The next one will be at full power. Fuck you, Neji panted. Naruto grinned and threw a kunai at Neji. Neji threw himself out of the way and out of range of Naruto, should he teleport to the kunai. When he stood, a Naruto suddenly exploded out of the ground, smashing his fist into Neji's jaw and sending him sailing into the air. When he was at the top of his arc, Naruto leapt up to him and smashed both fists into his stomach, sending him crashing back down to the ground. Neji coughed up blood but still pushed himself up. You just don't quit, do you? Naruto questioned. Never, Neji stated, shaking his head. Not against you. You outkill. How? Naruto questioned, his eyes returning to normal. You haven't touched me once this fight. You are more powerful than any genin in this exam, except perhaps Gaara, Neji stated. I lied when I said you were destined for failure. You are destined to succeed at everything. Everything, except protecting those you love. My father died when I was very young. The main branch's head, Hinata's father Hayashi Hyuga, forced my father, his brother, to trade places with him during an assassination attempt, resulting in my father Sadat Hand Hayashi becoming clan head, when my father was originally meant to be the heir. I was cheated out of my place as the heir of the clan by both Destiny and Hayashi. I am meant to always be a servant to the main branch. However, I will be taking revenge on them just as soon as I finish with you. And what, pray tell, am I destined for? Naruto questioned. Where does my destiny lead me? To an early grave as an arrogant bastard controlled by his emotions, Neji grinned. Right alongside myself. Naruto grinned and shrugged, then created 3 clones, sending them at Neji. Neji charged at the clones, wiping them out. Quickly then ducking under Naruto's Rasengan. 8 trigrams, 2 palms, 4 palms, 8 palms, 16 palms, 32 palms, Neji counted off, hitting Naruto the number of times he said and always on a different chakra point. 64 palms. The final hit sent Naruto flying and he landed in a heap against one of the trees scattered around the arena. Neji smirked, but after a moment, Naruto pushed himself up and tried to create a Rasengan, without success. Don't bother, Neji sneered. I've hit enough chakra points that you won't be using chakra again for several hours. That's what you think, Naruto sneered as Kurama healed him. See, unlike you, I'm not normal. I've got a curse that won't let me fail. If it wasn't for my parents, I would be a complete outcast, never having been taught to fight, never having been taught a single jutsu, not having a single friend. I'd be the same as Gaara is. Did you know I was rejected at first? When I was young, no one knew who I was, so everyone hated me. My parents loved me, but aside from that I had no one. No friends, no other relatives. I was an outcast. Had you known me then, you would have said it was my destiny. But you know what? I changed. So don't give me that destiny crap. I will never allow anyone other than me to control me. And I will never let you outdo me. You are the son of the Neji began but stopped when Naruto launched dozens of air bullets at him again. He dodged them all, but just as he landed, a second clone exploded out of the ground, this time hitting him in the stomach with a weak Rasengan. The Rasengan left Neji disoriented and Neji simply lay there dazed. The winner is Naruto, Genma shouted. Neji was carried off the field and Naruto returned to the others. Next was Shino and Kankuro, but Kankuro withdrew before the fight began. After him came Temari and Shikamaru. However, Naruto was distracted by Hinata walking over. Are you okay? Hinata questioned. I'm fine, Naruto smiled. Sorry, I tried to kill him. It's alright, Hinata smiled. You didn't. I wanted to though, Naruto said, eyes downcast. And I would have if not for you. Thank you. What happened when your eyes turned red? Hinata questioned. It's a very long story, Naruto sighed. Nothing you need to worry about though. I'm fine. Okay. Hinata smiled then looked past him. Gaara's staring at you. Naruto turned and looked at him and saw that she was right. He was staring at Naruto and grinning. Suddenly Naruto felt the seal holding Kurama throb painfully as Kurama tried to get his attention. I'll be back in a minute, Naruto said distractedly, walking to the stairwell. Once there, he closed his eyes and allowed Kurama to pull him into his mind. Finally, Kurama growled. Listen and listen carefully. That kid, his ultimate defense, the sand that protects him, you won't be able to get through it easily, even with your jutsus. You'll never be able to beat him. However, I'm more worried about his control of the sand. He is not the first. The trait is common among the Jinchuriki of the One-Tails, Shikaku. If I'm right, you cannot best him without my help. We'll see, Naruto stated. I'll let you know if I need your help. Be careful, Kurama growled. I don't fancy dying. Naruto returned to the real world and returned to the others just as Shikamaru caught Temari. He took a moment to explain how he caught her, then raised their hands. That's it, I give up, Shikamaru called. Everyone fell silent then started shouting. What? Temari asked. What did you say? I used up all my chakra on that shadow possession jutsu, Shikamaru said. I'm good for about another 10 seconds, that's it. Bummer, and here I'd already planned out the next 200 moves in my head. But my chakra is running low. Anyway, if I was to win this thing, it would just mean more work. Then, the winner is Temari, Genma called. And Sasuke still isn't here for his fight, so the fourth Hokage would like to extend his time for another 10 minutes, an Anbu whispered appearing beside him. Genma sighed and nodded then shouted, there will be a 10-minute break before the next fight. Naruto rolled his eyes but smiled and leaned on the railing. They're waiting for Sasuke, right? Hinata questioned. Yes, Naruto nodded. They all really want to see him fight. In all honesty, I really don't. I don't think he can win. Why? Hinata questioned. From what I've heard about Gaara, Sasuke's going to have his ass handed to him, Naruto stated. Maybe he'll do well, Hinata said. You don't know for sure. Naruto nodded and was silent. When the 10 minutes was over, Genma sighed as Gaara walked down to the field. As Sasuke is not here, I have no choice but to. He was cut off by a swirl of leaves as Kakashi and Sasuke appeared on the field. Sasuke looked up at Naruto and held up a kunai he had stolen from Naruto, and Naruto grinned and teleported to him. Sorry if we kept you waiting, Kakashi said, rubbing the back of his head. But how late are we? I mean, it's not like Sasuke's well disqualified or anything, right? Like master like pupil, the proctor said. Even down to your lousy sense of time. Well, what about it? Kakashi asked. You know you were so late that we extended the deadline for you, twice in fact, the proctor said. It's lucky for you we did because you just made it. No, he's not disqualified. Oh, Kakashi said. That's a relief. You had me worried there for a minute. So we're okay. Sasuke, be careful, Naruto warned, voice urgent. I think he may be a Jinchuriki. A Sasuke trailed off but nodded, glancing at Gaara. I'll be careful. And Naruto, I think Orochimaru may be here somewhere. Naruto nodded and took his kunai, making sure to reflect the sun at his father a few times to warn him that there was a threat, then threw it up to the railing beside Hinata and teleported to it. He pulled it out of the railing and looked up at his father, who nodded, then looked back at Gaara. All right, the proctor said. The rules for this match are the same as in the preliminaries. The match continues until one of you dies or admits defeat. However, I can stop the match, but that's solely my decision. Gaara laughed a bit, and Naruto could guess why. That's what you think, buddy, Naruto said. I'd like to see you try. The proctor raised his hand and swung it down and said, begin. With that, he jumped out of the arena just as sand began to stream out of Gaara's gourd. Sasuke jumped back so that he would have time to react to any attacks. After a moment, Gaara gasped and pressed a hand to his head, groaning. Please, Gaara said. I beg you. Don't get so mad at me. He smiled and began to quiver. Then he looked back up at Sasuke. Mother, Gaara said. Sasuke stared at Gaara in confusion as sand continued to stream out of the gourd and form a cloud over Gaara. Earlier Gaara said. I know. I made you taste such awful blood. I'm so sorry. But this time I'm sure that it will taste so very good. Gaara suddenly doubled over, gasping again, and the sand fell to the ground around him. His breathing became ragged and he continued to gasp for breath for a few moments before leaning forward and dangling his arms. Then he straightened up enough to look at Sasuke and said, come on. The sand began to rise around him and rub against itself while swirling, producing a loud roar. Sasuke and Gaara stared at each other for a moment, waiting for the other to move. Here goes, Sasuke said, pulling out 2 shuriken and throwing them. The sand moved in front of it and blocked the shuriken, and a sand clone formed holding the shuriken. Sasuke began to run forward, but the sand clone leaned back and his torso exploded into a wall of sand shooting at Sasuke. Sasuke jumped over the blast just as it crashed down where he had been a moment before. The clone looked up at him and threw the shuriken, and Sasuke threw 2 more to block the first. As Sasuke landed, he kicked the clone's hands off, then landed on his hand and spun away from the clone long enough to land on his feet and spun, backhanding the clone's throat. His hand stuck halfway through, however, and the sand began to close around his wrist. He tried to pull it out, but it wouldn't budge, so instead he smashed the clone's head with his other hand, destroying it. The sand from the clone exploded in every direction, and Sasuke started forward again as the sand to either side began to rise again. He threw a punch forward and the sand moved to block his fist, but Sasuke grinned and spun and vanished, reappearing a moment later behind Gaara. Gaara turned toward him as memories of fighting Lee flashed through his head. Sasuke smashed his fist into Gaara's cheek before he could turn all the way around, and Gaara's sand armor cracked as he flew away from Sasuke, the sand following. Both smashed back down and Gaara stood. So that's your sand armor, huh? Sasuke asked. Come on. The audience stared in rapt silence, and Gaara and Sasuke. Come on. Sasuke repeated. Well, if you won't, I will. Sasuke charged at Gaara, who stumbled back a step then crouched, raising the sand to defend himself. When Sasuke reached the sand, he blurred around behind Gaara. Gaara sent the sand at him, but Sasuke spun out of the way and charged again. When he reached Gaara, he kicked him and sent him flying. What's the matter, Gaara? Sasuke asked. Is that all you've got? Gaara stood with the sand forming up around him, and his eyes closed. I'm going to tear off all of your armor, Sasuke said, dashing forward again. The sand around Gaara rose in a circle, and Sasuke began to run around Gaara in a blur, beginning to make a funnel. Then he flipped over the sand and ran at Gaara. He kicked him in the face, then grabbed the front of his shirt and smashed his knee into his stomach, then jumped back. Gaara fell to his hands and knees and began panting. No one made a sound. Not even the wind was still blowing. Finally, after a while of simply staring at each other, Gaara put his hands together, clasping his fingers with his pointer fingers extended upward and pressed together. The sand began to rise, then formed a dome around him. Sasuke sprinted forward and threw a punch at the dome. The moment his fist was within a foot of the dome, the side erupted with spikes. He stood there for a moment in surprise. His fist had made contact, and he had avoided most of the spikes, but the side of the dome had been so hard it had made his hand bleed. After a moment he jumped back and the spikes sank back into the dome. Sasuke stared at it as blood dripped from his bloody knuckles. Suddenly sand began to swirl over the dome and formed an eyeball that Naruto assumed was so Gaara could see. Then Gaara began to chant again, but this one was different, mainly because Kurama began to get agitated when he heard him. Sasuke sprinted forward again and threw 3 kunai into the sphere, then leapt over it and began to run at it from the other side. The spikes shot out at him, and he avoided them, then smashed his hand into the dome. The spikes retracted and he jumped back as they began to extend again. He tried to run at the dome again, but the spikes began shooting out faster, and he had to cartwheel sideways to avoid them. He jumped into the air and smashed his foot into the top with no effect, and jumped off just before the spikes shot out. Sasuke looked more carefully at the dome, and saw a single spot where the sand had come together that was slightly weaker than the rest of the dome. Sasuke bent his knees slightly, and raised his hand in front of his face, then unclasped part of a strap on his left arm. Then he jumped back and up the wall of the arena. He stopped about at the top and made several hand signs. Then he grasped his left wrist and held his hand so that the palm was about an inch away from the wall. As he focused his chakra, a ball of lightning began to form in his hand. When his Chidori was finished, he took off sprinting down the wall holding the inside of his elbow. As he neared the dome, the spikes shot out but Sasuke evaded them and slammed his Chidori into the dome. The Chidori blasted straight through the dome, then into Gaara's left shoulder. Suddenly a splitting scream rang out of the dome. "Aha!" Gaara shrieked. "Blood! It's my blood!" Sasuke tried to pull his hand out but it wouldn't budge. He quickly formed another Chidori and Gaara screamed again. Then Sasuke ripped his hand free and a grotesque, sand-colored, spiked hand was dragged out with it until it couldn't stretch anymore and let go. Sasuke fell to his knee clutching his arm and the hand began to retract into the hole in the dome. Naruto stared in shock and a small degree of panic crept over him as Kurama recognized the arm. Sasuke stared at the hole waiting for something to happen. A deep growl emanated from inside the dome and Sasuke could see something inside writhing around. Then an eye moved into view. The eye was completely black where it should be white, and the pupil was in the shape of a 4-point star with a yellow iris around it. The moment the eye focused on Sasuke, a horrible roar rang out from the creature. Then cracks began to spread from the hole until they covered half of it. Then it fell away into dust. As it did, it revealed Gaara as he was but with a wound in his shoulder. There was no sign of whatever Sasuke had seen. He was breathing heavily and looked a bit scared. He clutched his wound and blood seeped out over his hand. Just then, white feathers began to fall and everyone began to fall asleep. Naruto felt his eyes get heavy, but Naruto realized what was happening and released himself from the genjutsu. Several other shinobi did the same and a moment later, the balcony where the Minato and the Kazekage had been sitting exploded. Then, several other explosions rang out around the village while Gaara and his teammates fled and the Kazekage and Minato both jumped to the roof of their building and 4 sound ninja erected a building around them. Naruto released Hinata from the genjutsu just as Sakura took off after Sasuke. Naruto left chasing after her, and praying that his father could hold Orochimaru off until he returned. When he caught up with Sasuke and Sakura, Sasuke was barely conscious with the seal spread across half his body and Sakura was pinned to a tree by Gaara's mutated left hand. The arm was the same as what had followed Sasuke out of the sphere and was fused to the gourd on Gaara's back. The gourd also had a tail extended from the bottom, and his right eye was black with a yellow iris and a star-shaped pupil with 4 dots around it. "Let her go," Naruto ordered. Gaara pulled and his hand broke off, then reformed as the chunk pinning Sakura began to slowly harden, crushing her. "It will continue to harden until you defeat me," Gaara stated. "I recognize you. You're that boy again. The one with the brother inside." "Brother?" Naruto questioned before grinning. "Alright, let's see which brother chose better." Gaara growled and Naruto crouched, placing his hand down and allowing seals to shoot out from under his hand. Just as they reached Gaara, Naruto leapt into the air over Gaara's hand and landed to his left, spreading more seals before leaping directly over Gaara when the seals reached him and Gaara's hand crashed into the tree where he had been. Naruto landed placing more seals and watched as the hand whipped around Gaara, shooting toward him. After a moment, Naruto leapt to a branch directly opposite his starting point and placed more seals, this time reaching the other 3 sets. Just then, Gaara's hand flashed toward him. He teleported to a seal across from him at the last second and Gaara growled in frustration. "You're fast," Gaara commented. "It's annoying. Try this," Naruto grinned, creating 6 clones. Gaara smashed the branch where they were and they all teleported to a different seal. Naruto was directly behind Gaara and watched as 4 of his clones attacked, 2 with air bullets and 2 with wind swords. At the last second Gaara jumped, the attacks all passing under him and killing the clone opposite the one that sent the attack, and the last 2 clones fell toward Gaara from above with Razengans. He held his arm over his head, blocking the attack, but the explosions reduced his arm to dust. After a moment, it reformed and he leapt at Naruto. As he neared Naruto, a wall of Naruto clones crashed into Gaara in midair from below and sent him flying into the air. Then they all sent hundreds of air bullets at him. Gaara blocked the attack with his arm and tail, and both fell away as dust. Then, Naruto appeared over him and slammed a Rasengan into his back, sending him crashing down into the ground, forming a massive crater and leveling the section of forest Naruto had marked. Naruto landed safely on his clones and spread seals over their new battlefield. Sakura and Sasuke were just outside the blast zone, luckily, so they now had a clear view of the battle. Naruto surrounded the crater with hundreds of clones just as the dust settled and revealed Gaara, now covered completely in sand with the exception of his feet and the scar forming the kanji for love on his forehead. Naruto's clones leapt into the air starting from the back row, forming a massive dome over Gaara. Every clone threw a wind sword and Gaara merely stood there as the jutsus tore through his body. When the dust settled, his body was falling away but he wasn't scathed. "My turn," Gaara sneered as his body reformed. Then, the sand at his feet exploded into a massive column of sand and destroyed all of the clones. The smoke from their destruction filled the area, stretching high into the air. Then, when it cleared, there was a massive creature, similar in appearance to a tanuki but made out of sand, standing in the center. Naruto stared in shock at the creature, knowing even without Kurama's affirmation that it was Shikaku. After a moment, Naruto's vision was suddenly blocked by sand and he instantly reached up and bit his thumb to make it bleed, then formed several hand seals before the sand covered him. Then, the sand exploded off, followed by smoke. When it cleared, Naruto was standing on top of Gamabunta's head. "Kid, please tell me you didn't summon me to fight Shikaku," Gamabunta sighed. "Sorry," Naruto apologized. "I figured I'd be useless." "No doubt," Gamabunta nodded. "Me fighting him is a suicidal pursuit." He drew his tanto and leapt forward, driving it into Shikaku's shoulder before Shikaku threw him over his shoulder, removing his right arm in the process. Gamabunta landed on his feet, his tanto landing a distance away and Shikaku's arm landing behind him and falling away as sand. Shikaku turned toward them, growling as Gaara rose from his forehead, lower body buried in sand. Shikaku's not in control yet, Gamabunta realized. If Gaara falls asleep, it will be. He's acting as a medium. Naruto nodded as Shikaku's arm reformed second before Gaara fell forward. Shikaku's eyes went from a dull tan to glowing bright yellow as Shikaku took control. Finally, Shikaku sneered, his voice higher pitched than Naruto expected. "Now then, wind style, drilling air bullet," he inhaled, his stomach expanding, then slammed his left arm into it, firing a massive ball of wind laced with chakra and sand. It was similar to the jutsu Naruto